The what?
MBA and RDA.
Oh my gosh. There we go.
Do I not have those?
Right here? Is it this one?
No. It's for the tentative budget for the MBA.
I purposely kept the monitors off.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just don't see it on my agenda.
So we appreciate technology.
Okay, let me find it. Just a second. Oh, okay. Thank you everyone for being here. We will start in just a minute. We have 2 meetings before our regularly scheduled council meeting. So let me get my iPad to work here so I can figure out what we're doing. Okay. Okay. Come on, internet. Okay. Welcome to the Municipal Building Authority of Kaysville City. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026. It is 6:55 p.m. The agenda shall be as follows. We'll have an opening, an adoption of fiscal year 2027 tentative MBA budget and setting a public hearing, and then we'll have an adjournment. So the opening will be provided by... Oh, I just opened the meeting. The meeting is now open. Thank you. All right. I will turn the mic over to Jason, our city manager.
Perfect. All right, Mayor and Council, thank you. So this is just, we broke these items out to be even more clear. In the past, we kind of had this as one tentative budget item. But just really quickly, Municipal Building Authority, the MBA fund, is set up specifically to handle debt service on our bonds for buildings. So we have 2 buildings in the city that are currently being paid off. The police station bond, which retires in 2031, and the City Hall bond that retires in 2034. So you can see there that the total revenues into this fund are $722,000. The City Hall building is paid off, or the revenues there are from transfers in from the general fund. That's the MBA lease revenue. And then the $478,000 you see in the 2027 budget, that's from police impact fee funds that go in to basically pay for the police bond. But again, it's a pretty straightforward budget, really. Any questions?
Okay, Council, do we have any questions? No lights are lit. Okay, all right. Then I would be prepared for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the tentative Municipal Building Authority Fund budget for fiscal year 2027.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Hunt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we do. Councilmember Adams.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
No, I think that's... Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. That is meeting number 1. Let me scroll down here. Okay, the next meeting that we have on the agenda is, let me find it. Yeah, I'm looking for my notes on it. Okay, this is a meeting for the redevelopment agency in Kaysville. So today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026, and we are in the council chambers, and we are having a meeting to address the redevelopment agency board. So now we are board members. The agenda shall be as follows. I'm opening the meeting. We'll have an adoption of fiscal year 2027 tentative RDA budget and setting a public hearing, and then we will adjourn. Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Redevelopment Agency Fund, or RDA, is specifically set up to collect revenues from the Smith's Marketplace project, the Flint Street district. And we get $130,000 a year in tax increment financing from that project. That goes into this fund. That was a fund that was created in 2014, or a project that was created in 2014. So it will close out in 2028. So we continue to get 130,000 or so each year that goes into this fund. We haven't traditionally spent really much of that money. It's been building up, and there's close to, it was over $1 million now, but right now we've got budgeted $70,000. That could be used for consulting fees if you wanted to look at other types of projects potentially related to RDA. So, but another straightforward, I think, budget unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Council, do you have any questions regarding this account? I guess my only question would be, if this money is not spent on a project before it expires, what happens to it, just for public information?
That's a great question. So there's been recent legislation at the state level on how you use RDA fund balance. And it's our understanding that we have to use that money for costs related specifically to the project that it was created for, in this case, Flint Street Project, Smiths. Long story is, we initially spent a lot of money out of the general fund to get that project going, doing public infrastructure improvements, widening Flint Street, adding sidewalks, utilities, power lines, street lights, did some stormwater improvements over there, and we are currently going through the process to try to reimburse ourselves for that using some of this fund balance. Another possible use for that fund balance would be to do other projects that support the Flint Street project, such as widening other sections of Flint Street that are tied there, adding sidewalks, things like that. But in answer to your question, whatever's left over that we don't use for the project, our understanding is we would have to turn back, and it would be given back to the taxing entities that it came from, school district, even ourselves. So.
Okay, so currently our plans are to reimburse some of those costs, right, that
Correct.
we've incurred. Okay,
Correct,
and that
yep.
will probably create
that alone might use up the whole,
Use up the whole fund
amount,
balance,
frankly.
okay.
If we wanted to, for example, just fix up Flint Street. Everyone that's driven Flint Street knows that there's still lots of areas that need to be
Right.
improved, widened, sidewalk needed, things like that. So
Okay.
that's certainly a possibility.
When would a project like that start, potentially?
That's a good question for Josh. It takes a little bit of planning for sure. Right now, we're still kind of going through the process of seeing what the easy claim is. If we can reimburse ourselves from that, that's the best because it's unrestricted. We just put it right back into the general fund. Whatever we're short on still, then we'd figure out what kinds of projects we could do that are related. But yeah, I'm not sure how quickly we could get a project like that going. Obviously, if it was a time-driven thing where we needed to use it by 2028, we'd put it as a high priority.
Gotcha, thank you. Councilmember Blackham has a question.
Just a question, maybe this is for Parker. You say there's almost $1 million there,
Yeah, I think I forget the amount.
but I'm just curious why that's not shown on this.
Yeah, this is just the year-to-year revenues and expenditures, and we don't traditionally show the fund balance on there, but I don't know why we couldn't.
We just show fund balance on most everything else. I'm just curious why we don't show fund balance here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Parker. Yeah.
Parker
Well-
works in our finance department, for
Yeah.
those watching.
Yeah, my name's Parker Godwin. I'm the Deputy Finance Director. I've only been here a year, so this is right off of our budget sheet. I'm not sure why it doesn't show fund balance. Our ACFR into June 2025 is $1,260,464. So that's the official number. Obviously, between this year and fiscal year 27, it'll go up. But to your question, why is it on there? I don't know. I don't think it's for any other purpose that maybe it hasn't
I mean,
been thought of.
I think
but-
it's pertinent information. Would
Sure.
like to have had it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, yep, we can add that.
Comment.
Thank you, Parker. Any other questions, council? Councilmember Jackson?
More of just a comment. It would be my wish that we would reimburse the city for all that we put in there to help Smiths get in that development, first and foremost. And so,
Excellent. We agree. Great.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, Council? No? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Hunt?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Okay, everyone, welcome to Kaysville City Council meeting. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026, 5 after 7. The opening will be presented by Councilmember Hunt, who will then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have call to the public, and I'll explain how that works after the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Councilmember Hunt.
Thanks so much for being here. It's always nice to look out and see actual people. So I spent some time having some introspection because I found myself with all of a sudden a lot of free time recently. And I went over a quote that I really like. So I want to share it with you and then kind of talk about it. It's by Theodore Roosevelt. It says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But he knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat." And as I was reading it, one of the things that really stood out to me was the line, "Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming." And it really kind of struck me as we've gone through this budget season, not because I think any of us are great. I think everyone here is great. I guess I'm trying to say I don't think of myself as some extraordinary man in the arena so much as, you know, everyone in our lives are the people in the arena doing the things that we do best, doing our best at whatever we try. But the line, "Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming," just reminded me that as a council, you know, none of us are perfect. We're all doing our best. And even though we're not perfect, what we all are is passionate about serving this city and trying to find the balances that we have to between providing services without placing a burden on residents and just doing the best we can for everyone. So it was, I don't know, it was just a good reminder that, you know, we're all kind of citizen servants up here. We all have our own lives. I was at a wax museum across the street for my third grader today. Everyone was doing their own thing today. Earlier this week, we had a 3.5-hour meeting. Like, we're all living our lives, but we're also willing to work here and try to give back. And it just struck me, not because I think, you know, we're all so amazing, but because this government we have is really something special and something worthwhile where we can all talk together and try to come up with solutions together. So with that, why don't we go ahead and do the pledge?
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt, thank you for that. I thought that was beautiful. All right. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is called Call to the Public. It's an opportunity for people from the community to come and speak to us for 3 minutes about whatever you would like to share. We don't have anyone signed up to speak to Call to the Public tonight, and so we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is presentations and awards. The first presentation, we're always excited about these, but it is a presentation to Kelton Vine for receiving his Supervising Fire Officer designation. And I will turn the mic over to Chief Erickson to present this. And it is so neat to see so many of our first responders share with us, so thank you.
Mayor, council, city leaders, residents, I thank you for your time this evening. This is probably the best part of my job, to be honest with you. Kelton's not only a very good paramedic and firefighter, he's a very professional, dedicated individual to our city. He's been here 9 years with us, 4 years as a paramedic. He is one of 3 of our senior medics. Kelton has earned a supervising fire officer designation. That doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but it means to me is about 12 to 15 different certifications, licensures, and almost 2 years of college combined in all these various classes. He's designated chief through his career development classes. He's got a few more steps to go as he climbs the ladder in his profession. Earning supervisor and fire designation, first level of his career, like I just spoke about. Please join me and thank Kelton Vine, now as a designated fire officer. And here's your plaque. Here, would you like to say something?
Yes, okay. We would love to get a picture with you. And if you have family here, Kelton, that would like a picture, tell them to come up first.
Yeah, we'll bring them, call the kids up.
Family, friends, and then we'll do a council picture. We're super proud of you. Thank you. Okay, great. Our turn.
Small as bag.
Congratulations. Yeah, thanks for all your hard work. Congratulations, you guys.
Congratulations, Gil.
I love it when we have an audience to celebrate our great employees and great people in our community. So it's fun. Thanks for being here. Okay, the next item, this individual couldn't make it, so we'll go to C, which is recognition of 3 award recipients from the I Can Make a Difference program for good sportsmanship. This is always a really exciting award to be able to give to our students. So, Cole?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is I don't get the opportunity to do this very often. I usually let recreation staff handle this, but this is just an exciting thing that we do in our recreation division is sportsmanship. And there's been 3 individuals that have been nominated for our junior jazz program. Just to give you a background, our junior jazz program, we serve 1,500 kids throughout our community from kindergarten all the way up through high school that participate in our basketball program. And these are the 3 winners that were nominated by their peers. We have a gift card from Boondocks for them, and as well as a plaque. But I'm going to call them up one by one, and then we'll hand them their plaques afterwards. But if I could have Hunter Felt come up.
So cute.
If you want to stand right there, let me read what Recreation and what the nominee said about Hunter here. Hunter was nominated for, in quotes, There was a boy from the other team that started to cry. Hunter went over to check on him and said it would be all right. High-fives him, and at the end of the game, checked back in with him and offered to share his team's snacks with him.
That's so sweet.
Thank
Good
you,
job,
Hunter. If you want to stay here for a second,
Okay.
if we could have William Mayer come up. William was nominated for, this is in quotes, Will worked so hard during our game today. We were behind a lot with no subs to give anyone on our team a rest. Will ran and never gave up. He didn't show any signs of frustration and kept a good attitude through the entire game, even though he must have been completely exhausted. He kept a smile on his face and showed the rest of our team how to keep trying and working even though circumstances were not ideal and the outcome was not what our team hoped for. He showed true positivity and leadership on the court today. Congrats, William. And then our final, if we could have Avery Peterson. Avery was nominated from our high school league. Our high school team has 4 girls who never played, and many of the other team members are frustrated and exclude them, but Avery is always smiling at them, passing to them and encouraging them. I truly think she 100% deserves the Good Sportsmanship Award. Avery, thank you. And these 3 are just a great example of what I think recreation and sports do for a community, is to help people become better and create good citizens. So we just appreciate your good sportsmanship and would like to award you with these plaques. Hunter. And again, there's a gift cards to Boondocks, a bag, and then a junior jazz or a jazz T-shirt in there. So thank you again.
Thank you. Will you guys stay up here? I love the fact that we have such great age groups represented, and Will is in my ward. So very, very special to me especially. So congratulations, you guys. We would love to get a picture with you. If your families want to come up, we'd love a picture with your families as well. So families, do you want to come up? Okay, if you're here. Yeah, and then we'll do a picture with you guys. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, jump in. Wow, it's a big family. How many brothers and sisters you got?
Okay, cool. And now we'd love to a council picture with you. All right, thank you. That was really fun. Love being able to recognize our outstanding students and our outstanding employees. And good sportsmanship, you know, is the basis for good citizenship, and so we appreciate that. Okay, now we have a presentation for the graduating 2025-26 U City Council members. I will turn the mic over to Councilmember John Adams and Linda Francis, who is their advisor, their fearless leader.
Yeah, so actually, if I'm going to switch it up, this if it's okay with you, Linda, I'd like you to be the one that calls and announces them out. Are you okay to come up and do that?
Okay.
Is that all right, Mayor?
Oh, for sure.
So,
Your show.
Linda is quite possibly the best person on the planet. I'm just going to brag her up here. For how many years now? 9.5. So we'll just say 10 years. For 10 years, she's been leading this youth city council, and it was nothing before she came around, and now it's the apple of the apple of our eye. Is that even a thing? It's the most. We are like looked upon, and everybody's jealous of how great Kaysville Youth City Council is, and it's because of Linda. And so I want to thank her so much. She probably is about done because her kids have gone and moved on, and so we're asking if anybody is interested in coming out. You're going to have big shoes to fill, but there's still runway to be had with these young folks. And so we've got some seniors, and I'm going to have her maybe give them out, and then since we've only got 4 of them, I think they should just say like maybe a quick thing about what they're grateful for with you city council. You guys okay with that? I mean, you should be. You're going to be public officials. So.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
And actually, that is the secret to the success, is the great kids that come in. And so it's really a pleasure to work with them. And we're busier when the mayor and the council, they kind of run their own thing. And so if they aren't able to do a lot of things, we have less that they do. And they're busy kids. They're leaders in their schools already, and they still are able to take the time to come to a monthly council meeting, and then usually we have about a monthly event as well. And things that we've helped with are with the Scarecrow Walk with the USU Extension Service. This year we did some work during the summer with the health department and their programs, and we've helped with the Fable Forest, which is a great service project along with the Fruit Heights Youth City Council. And we help with Kaysville Gives. The kids get to do day at the legislature. And then they help with the Easter egg hunt. Maybe you've seen them around there. So they really do a great job. And Bodie this year was was our youth mayor. So Bodie Shimmer can come on.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have Natalie Barlow.
All right.
And Jason Hayes. And he's not here today, but McKay Clements. So.
Okay, quick, you guys. Favorite thing? You would give us your 1-minute spiel.
Something
I
you
would
loved.
say my favorite thing is, I remember when I was younger, I went to the actual Easter egg hunt, and I always loved doing it. I always made it really fun memories with my dad and my siblings, and I always saw the people help setting it up and take it down, and I'm grateful that I get to now do that for the youth of Kaysville.
Thank you. Good job.
I've just been grateful to participate in all these city projects, really be able to serve our fellow neighbors, and it's just been a great opportunity to be with everyone. So,
Thank you.
guys.
Yeah, I absolutely love the city of Kaysville and being able to give back to it, whether it's from the 4th of July parades to Kaysville Gives. I've really loved giving back to the community that I've really benefited from so much.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you.
Linda, you're in the picture.
Yes.
Yeah, hold them up. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, any more pictures?
I don't have all my steps in.
Oh, okay. All righty. Okay, thank you, and thank you, Linda. She is going to be irreplaceable. However, we do need a replacement for her. So if you know anyone in the community that loves working with the youth, please send them our way. It does require a little bit of time commitment. It is a service opportunity, and it's such a great benefit to these kids. They get to learn about politics, they get to learn about service, and they get to use this experience for their college applications, and it really helps them kind of have an edge in learning about this. So anyone out there, nominate your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, your neighbors. It'd be great.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I give a little shout out to our mayor and Councilmember Adams? Most youth councils don't get access to the governor, lieutenant governor, and our top leaders in the state, but every year we're meeting with the very top officials, and it's very few youth councils get that opportunity. So I just want to highlight the good work of our mayor and Councilmember Adams. So.
Thank you. In fact, so much so that we've been told we kind of hog that spotlight at times. Other cities have complained that they don't get those interviews. So that's all thanks to Councilmember Adams. Good job.
Gotta work it.
Yep. All right. We have 3 proclamations, which I'll name them. We're not going to read them. The first proclamation is declaring May 2026 as Building Safety Month. It's in the packet, so if you would like to read that, we will sign that. That's an official proclamation. The second is a proclamation declaring May 11th through 16th as Police Week. We appreciate our policemen for being here, police officers for being here. And then the third proclamation is declaring May 17th through 23rd as Public Works Week. And we love our Public Works team, and we appreciate that. So we do have proclamations that we do. Some cities don't. We do them as a ceremonial extra thank you for your service so that we can highlight all the great work you do. So thank you all. The next item on the agenda is a presentation to Ryan Roberts for receiving the 2025 American Public Works Association Outstanding Snow Removal Professional Award, which is a very big deal. So I'll turn the mic over to Director Josh Belknap.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. That is the longest award name ever. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out the acronym for it. But Ryan has the privilege of getting to witness me cry 2 days in a row. So this is an exciting opportunity. But yeah, Ryan has been with Kaysville City over 16 years. Almost 16 years. Ryan currently serves as the streets manager for Kaysville City. And among his various duties as the streets manager, Ryan oversees snow plowing efforts for the city of Kaysville. I got an email from a friend of mine who serves on the APWA board asking, like, hey, do you know of anybody who has gone above and beyond in terms of snow removal? And I think he was wondering about other cities or other colleagues, and I thought of Ryan. And it was my privilege to nominate Ryan. The changes that have taken place in how Kaysville removes snow, how quickly it removes snow, the efficiencies that we've seen because of Ryan's efforts and Ryan's leadership have been absolutely amazing. From reducing snow plowing from maybe a 14-hour operation to about a 9-hour operation, trying to minimize the amount of time that people are taking away from their personal schedule and reducing the amount of overtime that we utilize. Ryan is one of the very best at what he does, and we're grateful to have him. So yeah, love Ryan and everybody in Public Works. Really fun and exciting month here for us. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Heather Wadman with APWA Utah to present that award.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Heather Wadman, like Josh mentioned. I am the current president of the Utah chapter of American Public Works Association. And I'm here tonight to present this award. I guess the acronym could be OSRPA, Outstanding Snow Removal Professional of the Year Award. Snow removal isn't just about convenience. It's not just about getting to work or school or the grocery store. It's about keeping a community functioning, right? It's about ensuring our first responders can make it to an emergency in time. And it's without snow removal, a city quickly can become immobilized at a storm event. And the people who make that happen, they're not just working a regular schedule. They're on call. They're at the mercy of Mother Nature. They're working nights, weekends, holidays. And I've heard stories from other operators of having to pull over and watch their kids open presents on Christmas Day over FaceTime, or missing that opportunity altogether. It's demanding work, and it's often a thankless job. Oftentimes you hear complaints about what wasn't plowed versus appreciation of what was. So it's so important to acknowledge excellence in this field. And I can tell, Josh, you're just as passionate about this field as I am. I'm a proud Public Works Department employee at Ogden City, and I care a lot for this industry. And it's not recognized as good as it should be. I wrote down some notes because I wanted this to be perfect, but I'm already messing it up. So anyway, it's important to recognize that importance and show gratitude for it when you can. This award honors individuals that have went above and beyond, and the nomination that Josh put in for Ryan shows a clear example that Ryan has went above and beyond for his community to keep the community functioning during storm events. So without further ado, Ryan, appreciate your dedication to the profession, to your city, and to the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Want to do a picture or no? Ryan, we want to do a picture with you because this is so fun.
He's so good at it, he made it quit snowing.
That was his doing.
I got it because it didn't snow at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. That's what you do. Hey, thanks.
Ryan, thank you. We really appreciate you. I don't know if anyone remembers, but gosh, maybe 10 years or so, during budget conversations, a decision was made by a council to discontinue snow removal. And boy, you sure notice what happens when you don't have that service. It completely messed up the city for a while. And so it's so important, and it's such a thankless job. There are so many things that happen that we just don't appreciate as well as we should, so thank you. Okay, so now we'll have a Kaysville Public Works Annual Report by Josh
Hey,
Billman.
Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
I think Chief Ellington wants to read the police proclamation.
Oh, did you? Oh, Chief, okay. Chief, I'm sorry. Did one of you want to read that?
Yeah, did you?
Usually,
It's a great idea.
Usually I do it, but come on down.
No, I was just teasing. I was teasing Seth.
Oh, are we?
I just thought if we do a proclamation, we ought to have some officers. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
well, and I'm sorry. The only reason we didn't is because we have a long agenda. Sorry.
I could see.
Are we okay?
I could see Chief
Okay.
Ellington really wanted to read
Okay.
it. I
Okay.
can see that.
We appreciate you guys all being here. Please don't take that as any sort of
I thought there was
ingratitude on our
going on.
on our part. But thanks for being here to support us. We were just trying to minimize and be efficient with our time. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, sounds good. Okay, Josh, here you go.
I don't think a presentation and awards agenda has ever got to letter I, so I think you made the right call abbreviating that somewhat.
Thank you.
So, bravo. Okay. Sorry for the delay. There we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and report on 2025 for the Public Works Department. But this is kind of similar to each year, a lot of information that I'm sure a lot of people find riveting. I don't want to go too in-depth and bore people, but I do like to include information that I think is helpful for people to understand what this department does, how it functions, and its responsibilities. We're comprised of three main divisions. And the first division, as I mentioned earlier, of which Ryan Roberts is the manager for, is the Streets Division. They oversee 130 miles of public roads. As you see there, a dollar figure, simple value. When I say simple value, what would it cost if we had to just repave every mile of public road in Kaysville? That's not redoing any of the manholes or valves or any other associated work. It's just the asphalt. Roughly between $90 and $100 million that we estimate that value to be. They oversee 6 traffic signals and 1 pedestrian hawk signal on 200 North. Ryan, as we talked about snow plowing, Ryan oversees operations by about 20 individuals operating snow plows. We also work closely with the PD on traffic calming concerns and general evaluations of the city's public streets network. They oversee and maintain the installation and repair of about 2,200 street signs. They perform curb and street painting, some tree trimming. The streets department also is Public Works liaison for fleet management for 35 vehicles and 4 pieces of large equipment. And they also assist with new subdivisions and city projects, testing the road base and subgrade. They closely coordinate with residents and other owners on curb and sidewalk repair and replacement. And then they unfortunately bear the brunt of a lot of just really random things that pop up throughout the year. Stormwater is the next division. It's about 150 miles of underground pipes, storm and land drain. The simple value, as I had explained earlier, with storm drain, doesn't really get into the nuts and bolts. It's mostly just if we had to replace each foot of pipe, it's about $175 million to about $180 million worth of pipe replacement, if that all took place at once. They oversee street sweeping. They manage the city's what's called the MS4 permit. That's in conjunction with the state and the federal EPA. But I'm sure council has received a really fun email each year about being trained on stormwater requirements, which everybody looks forward to each year. Also riveting. We conduct dry weather screening. It's a type of sampling. We work on illicit discharge detection and elimination with both state and county officials. Oversee annual reporting for compliance. The contractor and assistance and education requirements that are part of our permit is overseen by this department. They're managed by Logan Barker. And then we also deliver garbage cans for the city, and we are a member of the Davis County Stormwater Coalition. Drinking water department is comprised of a little bit more, about 168 miles of underground drinking water pipes. And the network of those pipes has a value of between $200 and $210 million. We have 7 underground storage tanks that equate to just under 8.5 million gallons. In Kaysville, on a typical year, you'll see about 1 billion gallons of drinking water consumed by residents and businesses. Those 7 tanks provide sometimes a little bit more than, sometimes a little bit less than 3 days of storage, which is not a lot, but we're currently being fed by Weber Basin, where we get all of our water from. We have 3,600 valves, 1,700 hydrants, 9,500 service connections, so that's individual meters. And to support those, we have 15 locations that collect that data and transmit it remotely to City Hall in real time. We have 6 stations where we monitor and inject chlorine to meet state requirements, 3 large pump houses, 26 PRVs, 66 air vacs, 600 backflow assemblies, and similar to stormwater, we have compliance responsibilities that we oversee. We also have a smaller division, the engineering division. They oversee plan review for construction, as well as inspection on installation of new infrastructure. They design internally for the city, both public works, as well as assisting with other departments on smaller projects. But that interdepartmental coordination is a big part of the engineering division. So breaking down how we do what we do in these divisions, focusing mainly on the 3. Streets is comprised of 4 full-time staff, and the funding for that division is comprised of the road utility, which is kind of a blend of state gas tax revenue, active transportation funds from the county, and the TUF, or the transportation utility fee, sometimes referred to as the road fee. We also utilize some property taxes from the general fund currently. Road utility funds, mostly projects. If there's physical work going on that is related to or part of the public street network. The general fund portion of public works is for things like wages, benefits. We also currently purchase road salt and the street signs, the sidewalk maintenance and repairs that we do, and some of the engineering have been coming from the general fund. The current budget, excuse me, the FY26 budget for the general fund portion of streets is $1,390,000. And the road utility portion of the streets budget this year is $7,452,000. Where we're at currently, expenditures for the general fund portion are $854,000, which is about 62% of that budget amount. We're 85% of the way through the fiscal year, and obviously road salt plays into that heavily as to why we're so far below budget. The road utility portion is $6.4 million in terms of current expenditures, and that's right on track, 85% and 85%. We are a little bit farther along with the 200 North project than we anticipated just because of the mild winter. They were able to get more work done, so that translates into us having to budget less money in this upcoming fiscal year to finish that project. The Stormwater Division is comprised of 5 full-time staff. Its funding is the Stormwater Utility Fund, or the Stormwater Utility Fee. The FY26 budget for stormwater is $1.8 million. Current expenditures at $1.3 million, which is 75% of budget expended, as we are 85% through the fiscal year. Water is comprised of 9 full-time staff, and funding is the Water Enterprise Fund, or revenue from the sales of water to residents and businesses. FY26 budget for the water fund is $6.6 million, current expenditures at $5.3 million, which is about 80% of budget, 85% of the way through the fiscal year. Engineering is supported by those three funds, or those three divisions, the funds from them. But it's comprised of 2 full-time staff, and then in addition we have our office admin, Amanda, we have an assistant director, and then myself. To round out how we do things, in addition to what's already been touched on, building on the slide from last year, since 2015, we've had $27.6 million worth of grants that Kaysville City has been awarded and utilized in construction projects. Since last year, we received an additional $5 million from Davis County. And those Davis County funds have been probably some of the most transformative that we are able to get them relatively quickly. A lot of the other funds that we've received have some limitations, like, hey, it's going to be 5 years before you can access these funds, or they might come with some federal requirements that it makes it so that the dollar doesn't stretch quite as far. So these county funds have been huge. And as I started working on these slides about 2 weeks ago, I just wanted to provide thanks to Mayor Tran, because while we do work to put together an application and all the necessary information for the county officials on these Davis County grant applications, each time that we've submitted, we have been fortunate to have the mayor working behind the scenes, and that's not to say that it's not above board, but connecting with their staff, helping explain not just the Kaysville importance, but the regional importance of our projects. And then the mayor is also helping other voting members of that group understand the importance as well. So that $12.2 million that we've received since this program started with Davis County is a credit to Mayor Tran. We appreciate that deeply.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've applied for an additional $14.9 million in grants that we haven't been successful with since 2015, and continue to pursue grant opportunities. Efficiencies. Last week, I kind of changed up my slides. I think one of the things that we struggle with as staff is communicating effectively and helping, as talking with Val Starkey over the last year, helping to tell the story. And I don't say story to make it sound like it's anything other than just good information. That's what it is, helping people know and understand. So I wanted to touch on some of the things where we've tried to either think outside the box or look for opportunities. Can we do things differently? Can we do things better to stretch the dollar a little bit farther? Some of these are times where we have spent money to try and benefit in the long run, and I'll point some of these things out. I think the first that I'd like to touch on is water meters. In 2018, we started looking at wanting to get modern AMI-capable digital meters installed at each of the 9,500 connections in Kaysville. That was about a 1.5 to 2 year project, and at the time was just over $2 million, I believe, to do that. But what previously took at least 2 weeks, we'd shut the entire Public Works Department down for about 2 weeks, whether your streets, water, stormwater, and we would go out and we would read water meters, pull the lid, look at the number on the dial, write it down on a piece of paper, close the lid, go to the next one, and then you'd bring those papers into City Hall, and they would manually type those readings in so that they could send people their bills. That got difficult in the winter, not only plowing, but trying to shovel out water meters so that we could look at those. So this was a huge project. We worked with the state of Utah at the time on an efficiency metric, and the overall gain in efficiency from this $2 million project was a 6,000% increase in the efficiency of the city, both public works as well as utility billing. So Yeah, in addition to that, the data that we have is way more accurate and it's real time. We can go out to a resident's home and show them in real time what they're using. Do you have a leak? We can help you identify that. I utilized that at my home last year to identify a leak that was occurring in real time. Snow plowing, as I mentioned, some of the things that Ryan has worked on in addition to everybody in the department. Taking it from a 14-hour operation down to 9, utilizing smaller vehicles. We've taken about 3 or 4 of the snow plows and replaced them with smaller trucks that are a little bit more maneuverable and easier to get into tight spaces, cul-de-sacs, windy roads. The efficiency from a time standpoint is also added to by the fact that instead of a $300,000 snowplow, we're looking at just under $100,000 for a smaller snowplow. And then Ryan, we didn't have an opportunity to use it this year, but was able to work with a vendor to get the city's first wing plow. You've probably seen them on UDOT trucks. It's a plow that comes off the side of the truck. So you're able to make 1.7 passes with each pass. The city engineer, so when Andy Thompson retired between 2018 and 2021, we went without a city engineer. And since that time, as Dexter came on with the support of council in creating that position, some of the relatively small opportunities, designing projects in-house, a small water line project, as we get bids on those to just design where can the water lines go, getting a set of construction plans ready, about $30,000 to $45,000 depending on the company. Dexter just completed another in-house set of plans that started a week ago Monday. Started construction on Kings and Bishops. We have an engineering technician in the city who we moved around some of his responsibilities. Jordan Hansen, the GIS administrator, provides support in mapping to all of the departments. And Jordan is one individual that there's just not enough hours in the day. And this engineering technician that we have, incredibly sharp, incredibly capable, ended up talking with Jordan that, if we can shift his responsibilities around, this is an individual that can support Jordan and avoid trying to request additional staff to come in and take care of GIS. Staffing changes, moving responsibilities and roles around, as well as, I don't know if I touch on this later, we've had the unfortunate circumstance on 3 occasions to have to let staff go when we're looking at situations where the performance is not sufficient to the needs and to the job description. And we don't take those things lightly, but we also have to weigh the needs of the organization and the community as we do those things. We purchased a small enclosed trailer a number of years ago, and coming in over the weekend with their personal time, water crews set that up with new shelving and storage bins and bays. That's become the leak trailer. That's cut down the average time for a water leak from 7 hours down to about 4, maybe 5. Construction inspections, taking one of the maintenance workers and shifting some of his responsibilities around and having him also assist with construction inspections so that we're trying to catch more and make sure that infrastructure that is going in is robust. Revamping, digitizing standards. If you'd like some information on this, it's way too in-depth for this meeting, but the asphalt and concrete debris that we store down at the Public Works yard and crush that about every 3 years, I think is one of the most valuable and beneficial things that this department has started doing. It started before I started with the city, but it saves so much time and money. Installing cameras throughout the city, it's not just a good thing for security, but it assists quite a bit with snow plowing, monitoring road conditions, trying to get out faster and keep those open for emergency responders. Sampling stations, installing those. We used to have to pull out people's water meters and get underground to take water samples. We replaced those with above ground stations. And luckily so, as our number of samples has grown, we're now at over 40 a month required by the state. Watering some parks with drinking water. We're in a drought this year, and we'll be talking about this a little bit later. As unfortunate as it is, we still have to flush water from our drinking system to keep water fresh, to keep chlorine residuals where they need to be. And we try to minimize that as much as possible. What we've done is we've worked with the Parks Department, and I think we've converted 3 public parks to utilize drinking water, and they're all in areas where we previously had circulation issues. So those are now using drinking water. They have better pressure, more reliable supply. And in addition, on the public works side, we don't have to pay a staff member to go out and flow a hydrant and sit there and babysit that hydrant. So there's some efficiencies there. We used to do in-house CDL training until CDL requirements were changed. We had somebody in-house that could train new staff as they were trying to get their licenses. Lost that opportunity though. Ryan and his folks started doing in-house road striping, smaller projects like crosswalks. They built their own set of templates and have been doing that for about a year or 2 now. And then purchasing some of our own supplies. This isn't a huge item, but there are little things like the operations center. Most of the time, if we're using a conference room, we'll come up here to City Hall, but there's times where it's more convenient to meet down, say, at the operations center. So we went and purchased with our own funds the staff down there a television so that we could bring staff in around, pull up maps, and monitor some of the software that we utilize down there. Feeding some of the folks down there, utilizing some of our own funds to do that. We're trying to be mindful, not only as staff, but realizing that we're supported by the residents of Kaysville, and we want to support them. And then in terms of challenges, this has probably been the most difficult period in this regard. Since December, we've lost 4 individuals from the Public Works Department. One of those was from a performance standpoint, but the others in terms of opportunities elsewhere that were pursued by individuals, and we certainly wish them the best. But just losing that institutional knowledge is difficult. We're still finding ourselves contacting 2 of those individuals. How does this operate? Remind us what the situation was with this property owner. So we've been able to replace 3 of those positions. We replaced the 4th, the water quality individual in charge of all the sampling for the city and water quality compliance. And the replacement lasted a week and contacted us, and he just said, I can't do this. This is way more than I thought it was going to be. And he just said it felt like it was too much. We advertised again, found what we thought was a really good candidate, offered the job, and they elected not to take it. So right now, the drinking water department and myself and Cody are just working closely with them to try and fill that gap with samples in compliance. So aging infrastructure continues to be a challenge. We are grateful for the support from the council in doing 2 projects currently, 200 North. It is a great example of getting in front of problems on a project, replacing pipes before we anticipate a significant problem. And then Kings and Bishops is one where within the last 3 or so years, out of nowhere, it becomes a significant issue with water leaks. So And then inflation, I think we're finally, as Parker illustrated on the curve on Tuesday, since about 23, you've started to see inflation come back down and normalize again. But there are random items that just maintain like oddly high prices that just don't seem to make a ton of sense. And it seems like, man, something's got to give. Something has to normalize again. So with that is a ton of information, and that's way more time than I told Emery I was going to take. So with that, council, any questions?
I have one question.
Yes, please.
You talked about turnover. So we've lost 4 people. What is our challenge in hiring additional people? Is there just a shortage of people in that specialty?
I think that's definitely part of it. It's a very like specialized position.
Okay.
And we'd like to see certain certifications and experience with that. I think that's part of it. The gentleman that turned the job down, I think the wages were appealing to him, but the benefits that were at his former city were sufficient enough that he was like, man, I don't think I can step away. So it just changes constantly. It could be a wage concern. It could be a benefit concern. It could be, you get applicants that like, oh man, I really don't want to relocate my family. We recently interviewed an individual from Logan, and when it came down to it, it just wasn't going to be in the cards for them. So a lot of things combine in those type of challenges. So
good luck.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
No, thank you. Well,
we appreciate you guys.
Credit to Brian, the drinking water
slack.
manager. He's new in that position for about 2 or 3 months, and he is carrying that load largely with one other individual. And I couldn't be more impressed with the job that they're doing. So
well, thank you. And for those that don't know, the drinking water testing is continual, ongoing, and
every day.
Crucial.
Weekends, holidays, we're in here every day monitoring water quality.
That's a life or death health situation. So
absolutely.
if the water chemical,
whether it's healthy water or sufficient supply for fire suppression, it's a huge focus. Should be. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Council, any questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Thanks for what you do and all the staff. Really appreciate it. And your presentation was fantastic. I love the efficiency page because it kind of helps me and I think the rest of us to understand, okay, you are trying to save taxpayer money and find solutions, and also the challenges. It's really good to talk about that so that we can be aware and the public. And it takes a lot to run the city, but thank you to you and all your staff, and please pass that on.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and I get that frequently from the council and the mayor. Michael stop in occasionally if there's been like a really bad storm. Just, hey, can you just make sure that everybody knows? And that means more than when we get a card from a resident that like, hey, thanks. Largely, you don't hear things unless there's a problem. Councilmember Hunt, same thing. We'll have really crappy situations, and she'll stop in. She's brought bagels to these guys, so that means a ton. We appreciate it, and I feel weird every year doing this. If there's like, oh man, thank you so much. I can't say enough good about the human beings in public works as well as the city. From top down, just phenomenal people that do amazing things, and they really do care about the organization and the community. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation.
And I totally forgot. Last year I had a bunch of like show and tell things.
Oh yes, that's right.
These are clean. I disinfected them, so no need to worry.
They came out of a sewer?
They're not very exciting. I didn't have anything really new. This was a rock. We go out and try and exercise valves. We've got something like 3,000 valves within the city, and we want to check those as frequently as we can, make sure they're working properly and that they're open when they need to be open. We found a neighborhood where the neighborhood kids have been taking these out of the park strip and dropping them down the valve box.
Oh, nice.
We couldn't figure out, why can't we get onto these valves? And so a crew of guys spent a decent amount of time going around cleaning out the valve boxes. So I thought that was kind of comical because that's something I would have done as a kid.
Yeah.
And then
But not good.
the 200 North project this last year, as we were moving east and we approached First East, we encountered the old Bamberger Railroad.
Oh, right.
All the cross ties, the butt plates,
That's
and
neat.
spikes. And that was quite a challenge because as we excavated, all the ballast started to just collapse in and trying to figure out a way to stabilize and continue moving. But, you know, my grandfather took the Bamberger every day, and I was like, gosh, that is so stinking
That's
cool.
cool.
So this is a spike from the Bamberger, and I'll pass these around. It's nothing like...
Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's great. It's part of our history, except the rocks. That's yeah. It's been here a long time, I'm sure. Yes, but
So, one additional item. I'm sorry I failed to mention this, and I think this was shared on Tuesday, but in the financial portion, I failed to touch on this. Currently, fund balance for the drinking water department at the end of fiscal year 25 was $2.7 million. Fund balance for stormwater was $1.6 million. So,
Josh, will you touch? I know last time you were here, you talked about a well, that we are looking for alternative sources of water.
Yeah. Oh.
Will you
I am so
mention
glad that you brought
Okay.
that up. I failed to mention that. Last week, we found out that our application with the state engineer has been approved to acquire
Fantastic.
Over 100 acre feet of groundwater
Good.
for use in a future well.
Okay.
That's normally like a 6-month process. It was 13 months to get that approval.
Fantastic.
And so grateful that came in when it did, and it wasn't mired in a lot of everything else that's going on right now.
Great job.
So we'll meet next week to find out more of the details on that. We met today with the company that manages our water model and just said, hey man, we would really like to start wrapping our head around how do you pursue groundwater. We've never done that here.
Okay.
At least in our time. The city had wells back in the 50s, but trying to understand how do we move forward from here to the point where we have that as a source option within Kaysville City, provide some redundancy if we ever have issues with Weaver Basin. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. I totally forgot to touch on that.
Well, that is very exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. And that's one of the things that we are so focused on as a city, is looking towards the future and making sure that the plans we have now will sustain us. So thank you for
and
doing that.
The nice thing about that is those water rights are being purchased with ARPA funds.
Oh, good.
So it's
Good.
We were
Not
able
taxpayer
to
money.
confirm
Good.
this meets the requirements of ARPA. We're utilizing those federal funds to acquire those water rights for the future project. So, otherwise, like, man, that would be a difficult thing to pull off normally, and those funds made that possible. So
Congratulations,
yeah, thank
Josh,
you.
to
No,
all
thank
of
you
you
so
for
much.
doing that. That's really exciting. People don't realize what a big deal water
Yeah.
rights are. Or maybe they do, but we really need to talk
I think
about it.
a lot of people don't. I don't
It's a
think I
big deal.
did. I definitely didn't before I started with the city. So
Yeah, good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, do we have any conflicts of interest, council, before we move on? No? Okay, seeing none, we will move to our consent agenda. We have 5 items listed on the consent agenda, 4 items. Would someone like to make a motion regarding number 5, consent items?
Can I move D off or just get one question answered before Josh leaves?
Sure, Josh, could we keep you for one question?
Other than that, we can wait.
Yeah,
No,
we
you
need-
can sit down until we get
Right,
done.
we need a second on the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, come on up.
Okay, the only question I have is, it says a resolution approving a franchise agreement with Forged Fiber. Are you good with that?
Yeah, so normally we don't want any new franchise agreements. There are so many companies here fighting with each other for space in the right-of-way. Forged Fiber is a subsidiary of AT&T, and they have purchased all of Lumen's infrastructure. They're taking that over. So this is kind of a formality, switching ownership from Lumen over to AT&T through Forged. So in this case, we are good with it.
Just curious
Yep.
if they are a good actor. and if there's-
AT&T,
if there's-
far better than Lumen.
Okay, and if there was
And-
anything that you felt needed to be included in that agreement?
I don't think so. The franchise agreement form that Nick has put together is pretty robust and clear and has been extremely helpful when we run into issues with the utilities that have the older franchise agreement. That's been difficult as he's been able to move most over to the new one. It's like a 9-day difference. So yeah, very, very supportive of this change. And that's not to throw anybody with them under the bus, but they've been so difficult. And I think a lot of that is just swamped and staff that are just like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Okay.
So, yeah, great question.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, so in my neighborhood, there's a few homes where Lumen, they did such lousy work where I could literally walk into the backyard and grab the line that's hanging really low between the
like
properties.
An overhead line that.
Yeah, along the property line, or the power lines are above, but the lumen line is so low, a kid could probably jump and grab it.
Yeah.
And it's just such shoddy work. And so I would hope that the city communicates with AT&T and this company, that it'd be nice to fix some of those and just a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for those individuals as well as others, whether it's that company or a different company, if you're experiencing those kinds of issues, especially with overhead lines, if you contact the Kaysville City Power Department, one of the employees in the power department, his name is Brandon Willie, he's the utilities locator. And in addition to marking blue stakes for the city, Brandon is on like a first name basis with representatives from each of these utility companies. And Brandon, the term that you hear a lot of times, like, hey, we got to hold people's feet to the fire in certain situations. And Brandon, I don't know if any of you knew Brandon's dad, Martin, but Brandon is Martin reincarnated. In the best way possible.
As a huge compliment.
Yeah, it is a massive compliment. But he's good and professional with these entities, but he is unyielding in terms of doing things the right way. So absolutely, contact the power department to get in touch with Brandon, making him aware, and allow him to start working and coordinating with, finding out information, contacting the utility company for sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would someone like to make a motion on consent items A through D?
Sure, I'll make a motion. We approve consent items A, B, C, and D.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Okay, now we are on action item 6A, which is a tentative budget. I will state the tentative budget name or the description, and then I will turn the mic to Jason to give us a little bit of historic context, and then Marin to present. Okay, so 6A, notice that the budget officer intends to state in the public meeting that the tentative budget includes a proposed property tax increase with an approximate percentage increase of 17.59%, an approximate amount of $1.226151 million for the purpose of funding needed administrative and public safety costs and capital projects, as well as providing funds for debt service for the Kaysville Fieldhouse, and that the city will provide notice of a public hearing as required by law. And I want to stress tentative in this meeting. This is just one of many meetings that we will continue to have. Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. Are those, sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. We don't have slides yet.
Off paper.
Or if you want to talk first, sorry.
Just trying to see which slide.
That's a really
Can I plug in?
That's a pretty picture.
Oh.
Flowers.
We just thought we'd show you a pretty picture, like, no, we didn't need numbers. Numbers just.
To set up.
Yeah.
That's what I get to see when I'm
I
out
think
riding
his
my
had
bike.
double.
I love it.
He had, sorry.
I think I was gonna cover this first part.
I was covering the
Are you
first
covering?
part.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
were the last part.
All right.
That's okay?
Go ahead, go.
Okay. Okay, tonight we're presenting the tentative budget, which includes an increase of property taxes. Part of the new requirements are since Kaysville City is considering levying a tax rate that exceeds the fiscal year certified rate, we must prepare an impact statement, which is showing on the screen, and we have provided paper copies for those who want them. The impact statement shows that this tentative budget proposes a property tax increase of $1,226,151, or a 17.59% increase of revenue, and or a 21.97% increase of the tax rate. Kaysville City proposed a property tax increase for fiscal year 26, which was not approved. So this increase is to address prior year funding needs, as well as to support ongoing costs. Specific reasons for the increase include adding a part-time records clerk in our police department to help fulfill the demands of that role, collaboration between the city and Davis County School District to be partners on the Kaysville Field House, which is currently under construction. This tax increase will help fund those payments, which will be part general fund expense and part ramp. Other departments are seeing supply budgets increase with inflation and employee expenses with our yearly COLA and merit increases, which are also part of inflation. This increase is estimated to affect the average Kaysville household, valuing $690,010.11 a month, or $121.29 annually, and the average business valued at $690,018.38 a month, or $220.54 annually. Other home values are shown here for reference on this slide. The tentative budgets will be available for public inspection, and if Kaysville City proceeds with the proposed tax rate increase, the city will provide notice of and conduct a public hearing where members of the public will have an opportunity to comment on the proposed tax rate increase. The public hearing is scheduled for June 4th, 2026. The tentative budget is a working document. This is in no way final, and council and staff have worked hard to collaborate together to get the tax rate down while still funding needs of the city. I expect we will be scheduling more work sessions between now and the public hearing date to continue work on the budget. I want to thank the council, mayor, and department heads for being willing to work together and keep the residents of Kaysville top of mind while also balancing the needs of the city. It's not an easy job. Some might call it a delicate dance. I'm very proud to be a part of this team and have been very impressed with how we've come together and kept in mind that we all have the same goal: to enhance the present and future quality of community life in Kaysville through the delivery of effective, efficient, and equitable services. An interim budget will be prepared after the June public hearing date and will be presented June 18th, and once passed, be in effect from July 1st until August 7th, 2026, or the public hearing for truth and taxation and final budget adoption date. And I have some other slides that Jason can speak to, just kind of showing some history and information.
Great. So I think the takeaway from this slide is over the last 30 years, our rate is actually less. If you look at that 0.0018, slightly above in 1997, and we're down to just over the 0.0014 as of 2025. So you can obviously see some of the times where it's increased in 2014, where there was a TNT, Truth and Taxation, done to raise revenues to pay off the police station bonds. And then in 2021, we added paramedics to our fire departments. And then 2023 was when we did an increase to mostly increase compensation for public safety police officers. So I think the takeaway there is really, we haven't done a whole lot to do truth and taxation just to capture inflation growth. And if we don't do truth and taxation, as you know, to capture inflation, then by doing nothing, we actually are bringing in less dollars year over year when you look at inflation factors. So I guess next slide, again, I think this is one of the most obvious barometers, if you will, and how we're operating as a city. And we've continued to be among the lowest in tax rate among the 15 cities. We're currently the third lowest tax rate of all 15 cities. With the tentative budget as currently proposed, we would still be in the lower half, as you can see, number 9 out of 15.
I will add that I've spoken to several cities, and at least 6 of the 15, 6 or 7, are also planning truth and taxation. And so I believe that we would still be in the bottom 5.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. And then this is, again, the slide we've seen before, but this is the total anticipated impact on residents. If you look at the property tax, that current increase as currently proposed, again, is about $10.11 per month. That would be for the average house value in Kaysville. And then the other numbers below that, the utility numbers, are just based on average use. So you can see $1.63 is the average impact for the water, $1.31 for electric per month. Sanitation and sewer going up, $1.62 and $3.25, but that's mostly just pass-through costs from the sewer district and Robinson Waste. You can see the total low impact to the average resident is about $20.32 a month. And next slide. So this is always a nice snapshot as we remember the total property tax bill and how much of that actually goes to the city of Kaysville. It ranges anywhere from 15, 16, 18%. Most obviously goes to the school district. And you know, that goes to pay for everything from fire, police, parks. It's just a lot for a relatively small piece of the pie. And next slide. Is it the last one? Great. And I think the last stress we want to make is obviously a lot of work's been done. A ton of credit to council, to Marin and Parker and all the department heads for the hard work and just sifting through the budget, finding ways to save while being responsible. I think we've had some really good conversations. For the first time, I think, to my knowledge, we've had discussions that don't just focus on the current year, but what's going to happen the next year, which is just what we should be doing. And huge credit to Marin for that great spreadsheet she had the other night. That was a live, active spreadsheet that helped us see, all right, if we defer this particular expense, what happens to that expense if it goes on next year's taxes? And just really helped us, I think, see the big picture. And that's so important. And I know there's a lot of work to be done still. We expect we're going to do another work session. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But I know we're still looking for ways to further save, find ways to operate efficiently wherever we can, and be responsible for the mission we have to take care of our services in a responsible way while also doing it as cost effective as possible. And I'm excited about where we're going with that. Again, I think some of the best conversations this city has had in a long time about the budget have just been occurring the last couple of months. So I'm really proud of everybody for the hard work they've been doing on all sides, all around. So with that, I know there's still a lot of work to be done, and I think we were going to talk about scheduling another work session.
We will. I was going to just mention, we do have someone signed up for public comment before we go. And I just want to make a quick statement. None of us, and I speak very confidently for every single council member, wants to increase taxes. Okay, we also shop at the grocery store. We also know how much milk costs and gas. And it is heartburn to even have discussions about this. However, last year we did make some commitments that we have to honor. You can't be a city that commits to doing something and then not do it. And so we are doing everything that we can as a council to work with staff to decrease the percentage and the dollar amount of impact to our residents. And we will continue to work hard to do it. We have several months still to be able to continue these conversations. None of us want to have a tax increase. None of us. And because we know what it means. We know that it means it's an impact to your pocketbooks and to your families and to your lives. And so as I preface that, I do have one person that signed up to speak. It is Lorraine Starkey, and then we will have
I have a question.
comment. Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. I noticed on the previous slides, there's two numbers. There's a 17.59% versus the 21%. Just trying to get clarification on that.
Yeah, so the state requires that we report on the statement of intent the percentage of increase of revenue, which is the 17.59.
Okay.
The 21.97 is the rate increase, and that's what's going to show on the valuation notices that get sent out to the city.
Okay.
So that's the 21.97 we had built in that live spreadsheet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So that, just to clarify, so the notice that will go out, should we move forward with truth and taxation, is the 17.59%, because that is the increase.
No, sorry. 17.59 is revenue.
Okay.
We notice of the rate increasing, which
Okay.
is the 21.97 that we got to Tuesday night so far.
Okay, so far in our discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the rate will go up 21%.
Yes.
The capture of the amount will be 17%.
Correct. Thank you for wording it that way. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Mrs. Starkey, please come up.
Yeah, I can unplug. Oh, okay. If it's in your way.
Okay, so I got up at the county meeting after someone had invited them to do a prayer and they didn't, so she gave a prayer and I'm just going to do it. Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for a constitution and an ability for citizens to engage. We're thankful for the hours and hours and hours of effort to make a sacrifice to lower the tax increase. And we're thankful for the questions of each one of the council members and the staff as they've deliberated and worked to lower the increase on the widows and the single parent families and the families of those that have one income. We're thankful for those that are struggling with their health and that are wondering if they can stay in Kaysville because of the taxes. We're thankful for the efforts of each one of the council members, and we pray for them one by one. John Adams, Abigail Hunt, Mayor Tran, Nate Jackson, Josh McBride, and Mike Blackham. We pray for our city manager and our community development director, and we pray for each one of our leaders, and especially that we can fill the staff with adept people when we are losing them. We are thankful for the citizens who choose to engage. We're thankful for those citizens that may not yet choose to engage, that may find out that it's worth it. We thank thee for all the time that we have to engage and the feeling that we have when we do that. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, council discussion. We have to, so the state law has some new requirements. Each one of these items on your agenda has to be voted on separately. So now's the time for conversation, questions, and then we will have to vote after each bullet point.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely, Councilmember McBride.
So we are going to have an additional work session
Yes.
that discusses where the income comes from. Is that
Yes.
correct? Is that how that works?
Jason?
Yes.
Okay, so this is how it's spent, then we're going to have another discussion on where it comes from and how we generate the revenue.
So I know there was a desire to have further discussion on how to get the numbers down and look for further just understanding, I guess, of everything. And so whatever that means to the council, whatever specific questions that you want us to bring answers to, that's what this will be about. So.
Well, because one thing that I've talked about is the impact fees and trying to see where we are on those and generate those things. And so we can get a more accurate breakdown of where all funds come from that generate this number, maybe help the city. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I think so. I just say in just general, I know there's a lot of questions. So for the next session, if you could maybe email me and Marin questions, things specifically that you really want us to be able to answer clearly, we'll try to prepare really clear, data, slides, whatever we can to make sure those are clear.
Perfect.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Any other discussion, Council? Councilmember Hunt, you look like you've got one.
Yeah, are we okay to make comments, or are we only on questions right now?
Yes, absolutely. Questions, comments.
Okay.
Take it away.
I mean, I think I just want to echo what's kind of already been said, which is that this is tentative. We've had a lot of great discussions. But yeah, I don't think it's where I'm comfortable with it being the final budget yet, but I know we've made progress, and I just want to say thanks to all of the staff who've put a lot of work into it, and also the council. We've really tried to work hard on it and come to something that can be beneficial for the residents. So yeah, I guess I just want to say that, it's tentative. We're still working. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep listening. Reach out, please. If you have ideas, please reach out. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, and I will also add, once we get to the point where we're making an actual decision, we will provide a list of, asks and requests and decisions as far as those asks and requests go, so that you'll be able to see what we were able to say, okay, we've got to defer, no, we can't, all the reasons. We're going to provide you with as much information as possible as we make these decisions. Anyone else? Okay.
I just have a question.
Okay.
When you adopt a tentative budget like this, I mean, there are the items, if you're deciding you're going to do a truth in taxation, okay, which we're pretty much saying we're going to do truth in taxation, so we can do this. I shouldn't say we're saying we're going to, we're talking about it. Can you also include such that come July 1st, because you don't technically have a budget yet, that you have a tentative budget, but you don't have a final budget, can you say, go ahead and start the employee portions of it, which would be the COLA and maybe the merits for those who deserve it, but hold off on all the other things before the tax increase is done?
Yes, so that's actually one of the new requirements as well, is that we have to prepare an interim budget, which keeps the property tax increase in its own separate fund, and those monies won't be spent until, or if they're approved in August. So the COLA and merit, we haven't discussed that, but probably won't go into effect until August, and then we would just back pay and prorate those amounts from July 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so the monies won't be spent until
They
then.
won't be spent until after.
Until after it's approved, yes.
Okay.
Which is the new law from 2026, so that it provides a little bit more time to have clarity and make sure that it is as transparent as possible. So, okay, council members, any other comments? So what we would be doing is taking action on this item, and then we would move to the next item, and there are 5 of them, I think, that are related to this. So to remind you, this would be that the tentative budget includes a proposed tax increase with an appropriate percentage increase of 17.59, et cetera, for these things that are listed.
So here's the next question. What if we don't approve the tentative budget tonight? Tell me what's the results of that? What happens next?
I believe we would schedule another meeting. Don't we have until the 15th? What is the last day?
Isn't it the first?
I thought it was
Meeting?
I thought it was the 8th. You
I
had to
thought
have
it
it
was
done
the
by the
first
8th.
meeting,
So
but it
tomorrow.
had to be done in May.
Yeah, which would be the 8th. That gives everybody a week.
Okay, so we'd have to have another meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. I know the old law was you have to have it approved by, our interpretation was always by the end of the month, by the end of May. I know the new law says you got to approve it the first meeting, regular meeting.
Or by the 8th.
But what
I
I would
think.
suggest in this case is that if the tentative budget is just that, we can have additional versions, modified a tentative budget, you know, if we want to make further adjustments to it. But I think the important thing for the state is that we make it clear from the beginning, like this is where we're going right now. It doesn't mean anything's not going to change. But if, for example, we're looking at a property tax increase, truth in taxation, the quicker we get that out there, the better. The state doesn't want, obviously, us to not give enough time. So if there are concerns with the tentative budget, I think it would just be, all right, we're going to just do this to get through tonight, to comply with state law, but we're going to continue to look at this, maybe modify it.
Well, and as I've said in the past, I mean, I'm still not comfortable with and it's not just the tax increase, it's the rate increase. It's also part of it. I know it's not a lot, but it does double the cost of the monthly bill to people. I believe you showed a slide a minute ago or a little bit ago that showed the total for the month. $10 of it was the tax increase, but also an additional $10 or so was the rate increases, which even though we didn't get a tax increase last year, we did get rate increases. So I'm still not comfortable with rate increases yet. I know there has to be some probably, but is there any way that we can adopt a tentative budget holding the rate increases without the increases for now and talk about them some more? Or would you more comfortable, council, adopting it with the rate increases and talking about it some more later also?
I will say two of the rate increases are passed through.
Right.
So they are going to be automatically,
Okay.
because they were voted on by other bodies, not Kaysville City. But I don't know the answer to that question. So Nick, what do you think, or Jason?
The state code, I just put it up on the screen.
Okay. So it is still May. Wait. No, on or before the first scheduled meeting in the last May of the current period.
That says it was effective 5/10/2016.
Yeah, I think this is the old.
So that's the
version.
old one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the current.
So,
While we're waiting on that, I think I misunderstood. So you said the current budget does what to double something?
No. I'm just saying, let's go back to the fees. Go back to what it shows the monthly cost is. Can you find that slide? Anybody?
the slide that shows the rate
shows
increases.
The
Okay.
total monthly cost. Showed $10 for the tax.
Oh, yeah, that breakdown of the monthly?
It showed the breakdown of the monthly, but bottom line is it's $20 instead of 10, which is, we were close. We were real, there you go, $20. And so that's why I say I still like to discuss them. I know there's some pass-throughs and we don't have an option on stuff like that. And they're not big amounts, but they add up.
Yeah.
And they are part of an increase that we did last year because we did get the rate increases last year. We did not get the tax increase, but we did get the rate increase.
Right.
And I will say, if we'd have gotten the tax increase last year, it was probably about 34%. And I don't know what a year's done, but it's made it so we've gotten it down to about 17%, which is good.
I think we spent a lot of time on it, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we found ways to, but I still would like to, and if it's truly just a tentative budget and we're going to talk about all these, then I'm not so concerned. But if I'm like adopting a tentative budget that also includes rate increases, I'm not comfortable with that yet.
Why don't you make a motion that emphasizes that?
Well, I want more discussion. I want to hear what other people have to say. Not ready for,
Because we still have, well, I'm just because the next item is statement of budget officer. The tentative budget includes a proposed property tax increase. The next one is property tax impact schedule. The next one is tax increase and tax impact schedule. The next one is a public hearing, and the next one is consideration of revenues and a date. So I don't know where that falls into.
it'd be the first one.
Into this one. I guess it would just be the first one.
It'd be the first one.
What do you guys think? Any comments?
Again, what if we don't?
What if we don't do this?
If we don't include it, what's the ramifications of that? Anything?
Including the rate fee schedule?
Yeah.
Well, just there are two items that will automatically get increased. Even if we don't approve it, I think it still gets increased. Am I correct? Because the rates have already been set by other entities? Or do we?
Some of these are, yeah, for sure, pass-through
Like
fees that we can't
sanitation and
control.
sewer? Not that I want to pay them, but I don't think we have a choice, I guess is my question.
I mean, yeah, without, do you want to speak to it?
I'm certainly not, I mean, your council's free to do whatever they want. This is a brand-new law that's been enacted this year. So candidly, I think a lot of the municipalities around the state are a little gun-shy because of the strict interpretation that the tax commission took last year. Last year, I think it was like 85 municipalities tried to enact truth in taxation. We were one of them. We did not meet technical requirements of the law. And, probably rightfully so, the tax commission didn't allow us to impose that tax. Between that time, we were just getting used to that new law, and this legislative session, they've revamped the entire, well, not the entire, but large portions of the tax. Tonight, all that's happening is you're adopting the tentative budget. You're not committing to anything. You're not committing to, really, you're kind of setting the ceiling, basically. You're saying, we could go through with this, but this is the ceiling of what we're going to do. And it's been my experience that as Kaysville City Council has always been fiscally conservative and worked diligently and long to see if there's ways to lower that.
Okay.
I haven't had enough time, candidly, to answer this question, and this is a complex question, and it's not an area of law that I'm super, I'm familiar with the tax law, but it's not my forte. So I would caution you, if you don't adopt it tonight, I can't tell you legally what exactly the ramifications would be.
Okay.
I'm not saying that you should do that necessarily.
Right.
I just can't advise you legally because I was under the impression we were compliant last year as well.
Well, and we were as well. I guess the risk we run is we don't adopt it and they say you didn't follow the rules, so you're denied for a second year. That could happen. Or not, I don't know. So, okay, Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, I think we should include this, absolutely, because to be risk adverse here. And to me, it's about transparency because we're going to have many more discussions. We're going to have another budget meeting, public hearings, and it really allows us in front of the public to go through each line item and to go back and say, okay, exactly why does pressure irrigation need that $1, or why does water need $1.63? And so I think we should just move forward, get this done, pass this tentative budget, and then really continue to dig in like we did this week earlier. So,
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. I kind of like I said before, this is tentative. I also did the math. If we're not taking into account sanitation and sewer, not that I love it, but it's not a full $10. For just us, it's $5.34. So I just wanted to put that number out there as potentially a more accurate reflection of what we as a city would actually be looking to possibly change or tentatively approve. But to me, tentative, I just think of it kind of as wet clay, and if you're like my kids, you can still punch it flat. Like you can go to town on it. So I think we can still shave off if we want. and get this to where we want it. I think approving it doesn't, I think, tie our hands in any ways, which is why I, kind of like Councilmember Jackson was saying, feel comfortable going through with this and really going through each of those line items again.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Councilmember Adams?
I mean, yeah, when I was young, my family didn't have, we rented VCRs. I don't know if you guys remember renting VCRs when you wanted to watch a video. And so we would go to the video store and rent VCRs, and we'd have it for a few days, and we would just watch whatever tapes we happened to have. Or one time we got Beetlejuice, and he said the F word, and my dad took that thing back so fast. So one of the tapes we had, this is kind of just a long story to explain my point, but one of the tapes we owned was this movie called Dave. I don't know if any of you remember the movie Dave, but I've watched it probably 250 times. And you know, there's this scene where the character, I think Klein, is playing. He's pretending to be the president, and he's wanting to save this bill or this funding for something that's important to the what's kind of his wife. Anyway, weird situation, but. The guys say to him, if you can cut this amount out of the budget, then we'll save that. And he invites his friend, the accountant, over, I think Richard Dreyfuss or somebody, and they work through it all night, and he figures it out. Right now, I feel a little bit like Dave in that moment, and I feel like the night's just beginning. And I have some ideas in mind of how to chisel this down a little bit further. Last night we did a really good job. We went from 31 to 21. And so, you know, that's just kind of just a little bit of a foreshadowing of where I sit right now, I guess, so that everybody knows that that having watched Dave so many times is having an impact on me. And some things that have happened to me today are helping me to be a little bit more reflective. So that's it, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. All right, are we ready? Okay.
I just want to
Jason.
say I appreciate the discussion from my council.
Thank you, Councilmember Blackham.
It's a great movie, too.
Yes, okay.
And I just want to be super clear, because I'm not sure if everybody in the room is or not, but so this page, it just the $20.32 a month increase is a 7.67% increase per month. So just to be clear, 7.67% increase total. That's all.
Okay, thank you, which we still understand is impactful, so don't think we're trying to minimize any of these numbers. We're just trying to be clear. Okay, would someone like to make a motion then on item A?
I'll try. I will make a motion that we adopt the tentative budget with the caveat.
Yes, right, action item A.
Okay, but that's A, isn't it, the tentative budget?
You have to read it exactly as it's stated.
E, it's not on E on mine, it's
Proposed tax increase.
budget.
Okay, so just if you'll just read A and then add your caveat.
The D that says a resolution acknowledging the proposed tax increase.
Then what is A?
A was the notice.
A is a notice, we just have to, the new law requires that each letter has its own vote.
Oh, I was just concerned because that's the one that's got the actual numbers.
Yeah, so if you don't want to, well, we haven't spoken to it yet, E anyway. We're
Numbers in the resolution.
speaking to A, right? Oh, no, A does have the numbers. Okay, so if you'll read it and then add your caveat to that?
Well, the only reason I'm saying is because E is the adopting the tentative budget and property tax schedule impact. I thought the A was adopting the tentative entire budget.
We have to include in our
We don't know why the state makes these laws. Let me
I
just add that.
don't either, especially
I-
since that one's got the numbers
So
and
is
the other one
motion just to
doesn't.
approve the notice?
No, we've done that. We're moving
already
down
approved
to
the
E. We're to D at this point.
Wait, we
Oh,
haven't voted on
We
any
haven't
of
voted
these.
on
have to
any.
vote on
You don't
those?
have to vote on
My
A,
note-
B, C.
Okay, my note says, state law wants each of these items to be addressed individually, but we
Yeah,
don't have
which
to
you've
vote on
done.
them. Okay, okay,
Not voted on.
okay.
The ones you need to vote
Okay.
is D, E, and F. Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, that was confusing.
I know. Welcome.
One
To
was
your
an,
world.
A was a notice, B was a
Okay, Mike,
statement,
I
C was a
apologize.
presentation.
Okay, so Mike, Mike's motion is to address which letter? D. Okay,
I didn't make a motion. I'm going to rethink because I was reading A. So,
okay, so we have to make a motion on D. Do we have to make a motion on E? And F, but not A through C? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Would anyone like to make a motion on D?
But D is not adoption, so I feel really stupid. What is D and what is E? E says it's
Yeah.
the adoption.
And D is
So then what is D?
consideration.
Or-
Acknowledging?
The property tax increase, you're just acknowledging there will be a
That we're looking at.
Proposed.
Yeah, you're just reviewing that,
Okay.
and that the impact schedule Marin presented.
Okay,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve item D, consideration of a resolution acknowledging the proposed property tax increase and property tax impact schedule.
I'll second it.
okay, we are on Councilmember Blackham.
aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we are on item E, right? Yes. Consideration of a resolution adopting the tentative budget and property tax impact schedule and setting a public hearing for the proposed property tax increase.
Okay, this is the
Mayor.
one I was actually thinking.
Okay, just for clarity, this item is going to adopt a form that shows how the tax impact, and Ms. Nelson can speak. This is going to adopt the form that Ms. Nelson's presented that's on the screen, I believe. It's going to adopt that form, and it's going to set a hearing date. That's what this item is doing.
Okay, but how can we do that when we haven't actually spoken or discussed our tentative schedule yet? Because we haven't agreed on anything yet.
This one can change
Right.
Okay.
as we work.
This
So-
one is a work in progress. Okay.
Right, yes, these are all tentative tonight.
Okay,
I just wanted to be clear on what, because there was a little
Thank you.
confusion on D,
Okay.
what this was doing.
Okay.
okay. Any comments on this? Anyone? I'm sure we have questions because this is confusing. So this is item 6E. Consideration of a resolution adopting the tentative budget and property tax impact schedule and setting a public hearing for the proposed property tax increase if it happens. Right? Okay. Comments, questions, motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve item E, consideration of a resolution adopting the tentative budget and property tax impact schedule and setting a public hearing for the proposed property tax increase.
And I'll second.
Okay, council member, sorry, McBride.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries with a 3-2 vote. Okay, item F, consideration of a resolution declaring intent to increase property tax revenues, setting a truth in taxation hearing, and directing notice to the county auditor and state commission. I have a question about this.
I do too.
Since we're still having tentative discussions, then how can we have a resolution declaring that our intention is to do this when we haven't decided?
Well, and.
So
and-
this is confusing in the law, but this is the beginning phase that you have to officially take action to say, Not that you are going to do truth in taxation, not that you are going to adopt that rate. All you're doing tonight is you're saying, this is what we're going to consider. This is the ceiling, again, that we're going to consider. And what we want to do tonight as a council, what you want to do tonight as a council, if you adopt this, is you want to set it for a public hearing so that you can hear from the public. That's all that we're doing.
Regardless of whether or not we hold truth in taxation.
One question,
Right.
though.
Yes.
I'm concerned, though, at the very last sentence, because I don't want the notices, the tax notices, they have to get those prepared and send out to people in late July, 1st of July.
July 23rd, 22nd.
We won't even know what that really is until after the truth in taxation hearing. So I'm nervous to set it at a high bar, and then that's what they're going to get on their notices. So is there any way that, since we've already done the budget, can we set a lower bar for that? Can we say 10%? Or I don't know. I'm just trying to say I don't want the notice to go out and be completely inaccurate with what we're doing.
And then have to call that back.
The amount that'll go on the notice is what you approve on June 18th. So we still have a month plus work to create more of like an interim budget.
That answers my
And then June 18th, whatever you approve that will go on the notice in July.
Thank you.
Yeah.
June 18th.
That makes a lot more sense.
These are all very confusing because they sound very final, and in actuality, they're very preliminary.
Okay.
So
by June 18th, we should have an amount. And that amount will go out potentially with our cover letter and our comments from the county. And then the statement of intent. Okay.
Let it be known that I do not like this law.
I don't like this.
Let it be known that we also don't want to do any kind of tax increase. We all are in agreement on that, guys. Okay. So would someone like to make a motion on that?
Yep. I'll make a motion on action items for the tentative budget. Item F, consideration of a resolution declaring intent to increase property tax revenues, setting a truth in taxation hearing, and directing notice to the county auditor and state tax commission.
I second that.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Adams.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries 4-1. All right, item 7, other action items. Approval of a professional services agreement for the design and consulting of a city skate park. Cole. Thank you, Parker.
I was wondering why you were hanging around.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
One more, too. And, no, Jason.
Mayor, can I request that Cole has to give this whole presentation in a skater voice?
I don't even know
So,
what a skater.
dude.
Oh, Jose, what's a skater voice?
Let's go rip one, right? That's as good as you're going to get. No, so this is, hopefully in the staff report, you kind of gave a background and then kind of the process that we went through in selecting this design consulting work for the skate park there at, proposing at Barnes Park. This would require an amendment to the current FY26 to utilize the $25,000 donation that we received about 8 to 10 years ago that's been sitting aside for a skate park. So this action item is approving the contract with Primary Concrete to begin a design of the skate park using those donated funds. The construction of the skate park would be pending City Council approval in the upcoming FY27 budget. So this action item is simply the professional services agreement for the design and consulting.
Cole, will you give us a little context and history as to why this is something that we are considering?
Sure. Yep.
Thanks.
So back in December, there was a DIY skate park that began showing up at Trappers Field under a pavilion. Trappers Field is an HOA property that we inherited back in 2018. The skate elements began showing up in 2025, kind of not a big deal, right? They're just little things, but then towards November, December, it started to begin. Now we started seeing some half pipes and some other stuff that was like, all right, this is beyond the scope of just kids coming out and just skating on underneath the pavilion. And so because of the agreement we have with the, when we received the property from the HOA, there was some stipulations in the agreement that certain things weren't allowed, and a skate park was one of those things that is not allowed on that property. So we removed the skate park, and the community came out to voice that concern to the city council back in December. Very respectful, great dialogue with the skating community. I had many meetings with them afterwards, and kind of got the direction from the city to pursue what this would look like if the city was to build a skate park. And so we formed a committee vote. There was two staff members and 3 citizens from the skate park community formed the committee. We sent out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications. We received 11 submittals of the SOQs for design consulting work on the skate park. That review committee narrowed those 11 consultants down to 5, and then those final 5, we actually did interviews with that. And then after those interviews were concluded, the skate park committee reviewed all the 5 that we interviewed, and based on the size scope of this project, all 5 were, of course, qualified to do the work, and so it boiled down to which contractor or design firm that we felt was best suited to hit what we want to hit with Kaysville. You know, it's not going to be this massive skate park that you see down, you know, St. George just put a $10 million all-wheels skate park in, and so it's awesome. It's very awesome. It's very cool.
Awesome.
It's very cool, and we're nowhere near that. We know what we can do and the size of space we have, and so what's that? 9.5, sure, yeah, that sounds good. No. And so this primary concrete is the one that we felt was the best suited for the needs and kind of size and scope that Kaysville wanted, and it was really driven by the 3 members of our skate park board or committee that are skaters, that this is who, and we as staff also concurred that this is a good firm to work with. And so this is their design consultant fee, which caps out at $25,000. There's the possibility that we won't use all that, and if we don't use all that, then whatever's left of that balance would go into the actual construction of the skate park. We're projecting and anticipating the skate park's going to cost roughly about $450,000. We've requested in the upcoming budget ramp. The ramp committee met on Tuesday night and is recommending forwarding to the council $150,000 in ramp, and then we've asked or requested $300,000 in our park impact fees for the skate park. Park impact fees are restricted specifically to either new park construction or park amenities that are new, so it is a restricted fund. It's not general fund dollars. It is park impact fee funds, and so that's kind of where we are today, is approving this agreement to begin the design and hopefully to begin constructing, you know, pending city council budget approvals in FY27.
Well, and you alluded to the fact that, so about 10 years ago, Christian Nelson donated $25,000 to the city for a skate park.
A skate park.
Since that time, the city has been holding those funds, waiting for the opportunity to have a need or an ask for something like this.
Yep.
So this is not tax money that's being used for this design element, and it's also not tax money being used for design should it go forward. It's impact
the
fees.
ramp fund.
The ramp fund.
The ramp
okay.
is a tax,
That's true.
but it's a.
But it's specific for recreation, arts, museums, and parks, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not included in a tax increase, I guess, is what I want to say.
Correct.
Okay.
So I just want to bring in some comments, and I wished a lot of the projects in Kaysville City went this way, because this community, they didn't just come here this year. This community came 10 years ago and donated, but before that they came and tried to get the city to do something down at Gailey Park, tried to get them to do some where the old shop used to be over there, and tried. So it's not like this is a one-time, first-time ask. They've been very patient with Kaysville, 100%. And Kaysville's kind of put them off. And in reality, when we were told about this DIY deal, I think we all visited. I know I went down there. I could not believe the kids down there that were going there after school and playing. And so it's very obvious that there's a need for it. But the great thing about this is we have an existing park that has a bathroom already right there. in the area. So we're not looking at having to redo everything. We don't have to redo parking lots. We don't have to think. We can do this in progression. We don't have to do it all at once. It looks like we get to do it in stages if we need to. I mean, and with that ramp tax that we added about 5 years ago,
Yeah,
4 years ago,
2022 was the first.
to be able to use it for things like this, the community to see where their dollars are going like that, and to actually be able to do something for that community instead of keep putting them off. I mean, because realistically, when you look at the rec center or you look at our junior jazz programs, it's not really doing anything for them. And there's a lot of these skaters who really would like to have something, and they used to get a real bad genre of you know, they're going to graffiti or they're not. But these are awesome kids that are really just trying to learn their sport, and they just want some place to do it where they don't have to drive all over the place to do it, or parents aren't so worried about them, and they can let them go over and do that. And I just think this is an awesome project.
One of the other cool things too is it's not just kids, it's actually adults that are very passionate about this skate. And so I 100% agree with you, Councilmember Blackham.
Well, and I appreciate you mentioning the stigma that used to be with skaters. These are quality, wonderful people that live in our community that like to skateboard, and it is a professional sport.
Very true, and I think they get a bad rap a lot of times because they're skating on elements that aren't designed for a skate park, like here at City Hall, using our stairs out front to do jumps and things like that.
Right.
So they do get a bad rap because we haven't had anything in Kaysville to offer this group to actually go out and skate and have fun. And you know, one of the cool things about the DIY, I admit it was a cool thing, was to see just the camaraderie and the togetherness, even adults, kids.
Yeah.
And so the plan is this, even though it's a skate park, it's actually going to be, you know, more for skateboards, you know, I'm forgetting the term.
Roller skates, scooters,
stuff like that. So it's going to be well-rounded for all you know, cycle type sports.
Well, and it'll be in an open area so that people can go and watch and participate, and it's not just some secluded area where people are going to go crazy and be destructive.
Yeah, it'll be on the northwest section of Barnes Park, kind of where Sportsplex drives, makes the turn to head north towards the Catalyst.
Right.
But right there in kind of a flat area we have. So, yeah, there's no utility things we have to worry about. We have a parking lot, we have a restroom, just be some concrete, sidewalks, road base. I echo Josh on the road base pile. That's something that we use all the time, and it's something that we'll use for this project to help with costs.
Right.
We don't have to supply road base because we have the big stockpile that's been utilized over years. So,
thank
anyway,
you, Cole.
that's the history of it. So,
thanks.
Any
Mayor,
comments, Council?
can I
Yes,
ask a question real
Councilmember
quick?
Hunt. Yes.
Just one quick question, Cole. This $25,000, I understand that it was donated. If we go through and have this design done, and then for whatever reason, say this doesn't get approved on the budget, how long do those plans last for? Like, does it expire?
no, those plans will last for quite a while.
Okay.
So, at least a year or two.
Okay.
So-
And I'm not saying I don't like it. I just wanted to double check. But yeah, I would also want to echo what Councilmember Blackham said, just that, I mean, this community has been so great to work with. They've been so polite, so pleasant. They came out, like, the fact that they did the DIY thing, like, they didn't even ask first, which goes both ways. But they took the initiative, like, to do something they were passionate about, and that's exciting to see in residents. And as I'm always harping on, like, our kids need opportunities to do recreation so that they don't blow up toilets and stuff. So
that would be awesome.
Well, and I just want to add, when the city said we have to shut this down because it was not professionally installed, they were very good about how they received that.
Very much so.
They were very respectful, and they're not using it right now, and they're sad, and they're waiting. So anyway, okay, any other comments, anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve action item 7A, sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilmember Hunt.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Action item 7B, an ordinance amending various sections of Title 17 of the Kaysville City Code to comply with Senate Bill 179, titled Local Regulation of Business Entity Amendments. We do have someone, I believe, signed to speak to this. Let me just double check. I think we do. Yes, Doug Drudge. So as soon as Melinda presents it, then we'll invite you up to speak. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, thank you for being here this evening. This is before you as another legislative item that came out of the actually 2025 session. And so we are attempting here to be compliant with state law that created a new requirement for cities to have, I guess, kind of a workaround for permitted uses. So I was just going to go over the different sections that are being amended in our land use code, as well as the new section that we're proposing for that amendment. First here in 17.3-1, we just wanted to clarify that the zoning administrator is the community development director or their designee. And that just gives some clarity. The city does not have the title of a zoning administrator or a staff member with that title. So that just clarifies the role that that serves to make a determination in this.
Hey, Melinda.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I had a question as we were going through this. And I'll be quick. Was the zoning administrator, is that anywhere else in the code, or is that created right here?
So it is already in code. The black just shows that there is hereby created the position of the zoning administrator. I believe that effectively when Dan was working here, that was his title, but it's really frankly an antiquated and outdated title that actually came up, I think, based on LUDMA and state code, that basically you have to have a zoning administrator, and anyone can serve in that capacity. Some cities back in the day just then chose to title that position as a zoning administrator, but essentially your zoning administrator is your expert in the zoning code, and you would make interpretations of what code may mean in different instances. And most communities, it is the community development director that would serve in that capacity. So this isn't creating a new position, it's just clarifying that zoning administrator function is satisfied through the community development director or whoever may be designated to serve that.
Thanks, sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Thank you for asking. So this, the code or the state law required that we would, in every section of our zoning code that provides permitted uses or conditional uses, that we provide section in there then that would state if a permitted use, so this 17-9-7, if a permitted use is essentially not cleared, that then the zoning administrator would effectively determine if that permitted use wasn't listed, is the permitted or is the use that a business is asking for close to that permitted use? And if it is, then we could allow that. And if it's not, then it would go through this kind of petition process or an appeal process. Now, when this was going through the legislative session, typically this is how those things would work, is that if there was a request and that zone didn't or allow that particular use, an applicant could have an opportunity to apply for a text amendment to change code. That can be a lengthy process, and so I believe the intent of this law was to try and provide a more expedient outcome to that, but it's also, I think, challenging in some ways. But effectively, I think the opportunities for some type of, I'll call it an appeal like this, to come through, the way our ordinances are currently written, I think is very low. And I'll explain why. But most cities have a very exhaustive list of permitted or conditional uses. And we have a very permissive or a short list that encompasses, as an example, retail sales and services. Right? That could mean anything from a gym, a salon, dog grooming, to a vape shop. And so where we have these very broad categories, we tend to kind of capture all of these requests that come in. Other cities that may have different ways of classifying their uses might have more trouble. Now, a previous place that I worked had very specific uses. And in one instance, there actually was like somebody that came and wanted to do knife foraging, or forge knives with a knife, whatever, a big forge. And that was specific enough that that particular use wasn't allowed in the manufacturing zone, and so they had to apply for a text amendment to amend that. Whereas if they just would have had manufacturing or, forge manufacturing, it could have been a broader category. So this really is to try and I think make it easier for businesses if the council then would agree that the use is similar enough. So each of the sections in our code that has permitted uses, which is all of our different zones, everything from our ag to our residential to our business and commercial zones, would have a prohibited uses section added in here as shown in the 17-9-7. And then this next slide that shows, this would be a new section of code that would be added in. And this is how that appeal process would work. So if an application was sent to the city council, meaning, and typically, let me explain too also how these things work. Sometimes questions come through and they're very straightforward and easy to interpret. Other times they may be a little bit more ambiguous or just provide more of a question. So that's when I will oftentimes go confer with Mr. Mills or Ms. Ellis, our assistant city attorney, and say, hey, what do you think about this? Does this fit? Does this make sense? And so a lot of times through that collaboration, we come up with a resolve. We would go back then to the applicant, their business application, and say, yes, we believe this could work, or no, we're sorry, we don't. Now, if it goes to that point, then they can choose to go through this process. And so then that application would be sent to the city council. You would review the application. You would have to review that within 60 days. And essentially, you would just determine, like, does let's just say, metal forging count as a use close enough to metal knife forging? And you would make that determination in a meeting, and then give direction to staff to amend the zoning code to include that. So, and then if the council denies it, you would need to provide a reason why that would be denied. Generally, that would be done through a motion or the minutes. We could come up with something more formal. And then there is lastly another section to appeal, and this is essentially when the zoning administrator's determination is appealed, that's when it goes to the city council. So thankfully, and I know that when the last meeting when Mr. Mills presented Ms. Ellis with the Employee of the Quarter, one of the things he's mentioned was her wealth of knowledge and her access to some of this like opportunities through her membership and her role in the Municipal Attorneys Association. And we used to have a listserv with our Utah APA chapter where we could kind of easily gather information from other cities. That is no longer available to us. So through Ms. Ellis's contact, she was able to come up with this draft and assist us in the process of drafting this, especially because it was a new law, something that hadn't been done before. So we did have this at Planning Commission, and that was back in February. We did not receive any public comments on this. The Planning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to recommend to the City Council that you adopt this. So we are recommending the same based on the Planning Commission's recommendation that the Council approve this. So any questions, I'm happy to answer. Then, of course, we have Mr. Dredge's comment.
Yes, Mr. Dredge, why don't you come up? We'll let you speak first, and then we will have our question and discussion.
Thank you. I guess I have a problem with
this zoning administrator having the power to approve things without coming to the council. It seems to me that the zoning administrator should be either accountable to the public, i.e. one of the council members or somebody that is accountable to the public, or a designee from the council, as opposed to, one person having that power. And so I would suggest that we revamp this to have some kind of accountability to the public for these kind of decisions. Anytime you have an approval on a zoning thing,
Right.
it could be controversial.
Yes.
And I think there should be something there. The other thing is just my own personal opinion. When you're talking zoning approvals, not reviews, but approvals, I really think that the person in that position should live in the city and have to live with those. Okay.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. I have a question for you, Nick. So I know that we've had situations in the city come up where maybe community development looked at a recent law, and interpreted it one way, and then as council we interpreted it differently. Under this change, would that position be able to make a determination based upon their interpretation, and then in order to appeal it, it would have to go through a longer process? So it would have to be, rather than a discussion, it would be, okay, yes, no, and then the applicant would have to come back to the council to appeal it, and it would be longer.
Yeah, so as I believe the process, and I'll let Ms. Greenwood speak, but the process is if you get something that doesn't, it's like kind of weird. And
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
Tweener, right?
Mhm.
Then Ms. Greenwood's going to make a determination, or whoever the designee is. If it's approved, it's unlikely you'll see that, because they're going to go on their way with approval.
That concerns me. Okay.
Right. If it's denied, then the person has the opportunity for this body, the city council, to review that. And then, as I read it, it looks like it's a de novo review, meaning it's brand new. You can make the determination you want, and whatever determination you make, you're going to send that back, and then the zoning administrator is going to propose changes to reflect what you've done.
Okay, so I guess my next question would be, how could we tweak this so that it would be maybe comprised of a committee, which we have a land use authority attorney, Katie, who specializes in these things. And so maybe a committee of community development, maybe a council member, maybe a legal professional, city manager, because sometimes I think that there's, especially in the laws that are coming so quickly at us, that there are different interpretations, and one individual might interpret it one way when that was not the intention of the bill. And if they say, yes, we won't hear about it until it's already enacted, and it's too late to be able to stop it because that person was either given permission, right, to do something that we don't feel was an appropriate use of that zone or of that decision. So I'm not comfortable with this, I guess is what I'm saying. And I would be more comfortable if we had some sort of collaborative sort of conversation about that. So I don't know how everyone else feels, but.
That's a real easy change if that's the will of the council, we're happy to do that. On page 65 of your packet, under the process,
okay.
Sub 2, it says the zoning administrator shall determine that if the proposed use, I think right there we would just say the zoning administrator, comma,
Committee.
Member of the legal department, comma, planning commissioner or city council member or Mr. Belknap or whoever we want to put in there.
Okay, so as long as it's just not one person, Josh, we know you want this job. As long as it's not just one person who interprets it the way that, maybe to the letter of the law and doesn't give it an opportunity for us to give some input before it's decided.
Correct. My only advice there would be that you make it an odd number so
Okay.
that the majority can vote.
Right, okay. So I'd be okay with that as long as it's some sort of a committee, because these laws are so confusing. And it really depends on the situation and the interpretation of them. And we have seen that with a bill that came through, and then we were able to get it tweaked and fixed and changed. But that would have been super impactful to a community and a neighborhood had it been interpreted to the letter of the law at that time.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be my recommendation. Let me know your thoughts, guys.
So I'll talk about, I agree with Tammy that will, or Mayor Chan, all of my concerns would probably be addressed by doing that exact thing, putting it towards a committee, having the committee comprised of a couple individuals within the city and whatnot. I think that would address all my concerns as well.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anyone else? Councilmember Hunt.
I just kind of want to echo the same thing. I think it also addresses the concerns. If there's a council member on there, then at least for sure one person will live in the city, and I think that's a benefit and something that's been brought up. So yeah, same thing as
we're getting the direct
Councilmember
feedback.
McBride.
So okay. Anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Jackson.
I'm not quite sure about that, just because, as Melinda, you mentioned, there's so many different types of businesses out there, and depending on the business that's making the application, I almost think it'd be better to have some sort of meeting about it where the public can speak to it, depending on the type of business. It's hard to think of a scenario, maybe, a type of business that could negatively impact like the area or neighbors or whatnot. And so I'm just trying to figure out, like, with the state law, how does the appeal process, thanks for turning up my mic, how does the appeal process kind of work with that? And even if we have a committee, that would be great. I would like that. But it doesn't necessarily allow the public to weigh in, depending on what it is. And then looking at the appeal process here, I was a little bit concerned because it states the zoning administrator's determination may be appealed in accordance with section 17.4-5. And I looked that up, and that's mainly dealing with the planning commission. So I was curious how the planning commission's involved in this, if they are. But then it says that appeal can go to the city council, but if it's denied, it goes directly to district court. Yeah. Nothing in the state law says it has to go to district court. And I just want to know, like, what flexibility we have back and forth, that the council says, go back and change a couple of things, come back to us. You may come back for a second attempt. It's hard without knowing the exact business that's coming forward. And so a little bit confused in that aspect, but just wanted to hear the council thoughts on a committee versus when is there an opportunity to bring it in the public setting.
And is this designed to kind of bypass the planning commission? Or to kind of streamline the process? Is that the purpose?
I'd have to, I don't know what the bill sponsor had in mind with this. Okay. It's honestly, I think this was a solution looking for a problem, if you will. Like, this really didn't make much sense. And of course, we know a lot of times this legislation is passed because some city somewhere had some issue, one person.
Right.
Hey, Melinda, real quick. So in the bill, it states specifically several times the legislative body will make a decision. But it doesn't say that a city needs a zoning administrator, but you're correct, most cities do have a zoning administrator, and we need that to get these applications to the right point to come before a legislative body. But it'd be nice to kind of know how that appeal process would work. And I think the planning commission would be considered a legislative body, right?
No,
in
they
that
are.
term or not?
They're recommended.
They're
Okay,
administrative.
recommended, okay.
Yeah. So my understanding of how this would work, right? A business, somebody who applies for a business license, and we say, we're sorry, you can't operate a gun sale shop out of your residence. We go look at R1 code, and R1 code has these permitted uses and conditional uses. And I say to the applicant, I'm sorry, but sales of guns are not allowed in this particular zone. And he doesn't agree. Then he submits, this is the quote unquote appeal. He would submit an application, or she would submit an application that comes to the city council in a public meeting within 60 days, and you determine, you say, well, we allow for sales of farm stand items, and we think that a gun is close enough to a farm stand item. So we feel like the zoning administration didn't view this the same way we do. That's done in a public meeting. And then if you approve that and you say, yes, you know, the produce out of my garden and guns are similar enough, you would approve, you would designate then during the meeting the appropriate zones for that. So you would say R1, A1, and light industrial. And then that would be our marching orders of staff to go back and amend the code and take that through a text amendment process through Planning Commission and then back through council to include those uses in the zoning code. If you deny it, then the appeal would happen as it normally does. Now, currently, our appeal code states that the Planning Commission would be the appeal body. We actually want to change that and have it go to an administrative law judge. It is just a better process, and that's something that we'll be working on in the months to come as well. But then usually what happens after the appeal, if the Planning Commission denied that, then their recourse would be to go submit that through the district court. So this process outlined here in the 1739 really is the initial appeal. And it would be, I think, very awkward for the Planning Commission to serve as an appeal body for the City Council's decision. That just doesn't, they're a recommending body. They're not, yeah, so we do need to change, I think, the way our appeal process functions, which is kind of a separate issue. But this effectively is the appeal. The business applicant says, I don't like your determination. I want to go and see what the City Council says. And that would occur in a public meeting, which would provide an opportunity for the public to comment.
I mean, the way it's written here, though, technically, a city staffer can approve that based on their own interpretation. Because in section 17-39-1, part 1, it says the application shall include information specified by the zoning administrator. That should probably say specified by city code or something a little more like rooted in what we decide. But I'm just worried that's really kind of left up to interpretation, whichever staffer handles it at a city level. Mm-hmm. And so I don't see why it can't come before a council. The zoning administrator gets it prepared, does their best to allow for a yes, determining if they comply, bring it to the council. If the council denies, why can't they come back a second time to the council? A lot of federal agencies do that. You can appeal to the same board. And so I think that the legislative body needs to pretty much see all of it that comes through.
I would agree with you, and I think we're more concerned about the yeses than the nos. Correct. Just because the interpretation of yes is really so confusing, which we've seen, and these bills are written in such a confusing way that I think the yeses are seem to be more problematic than the nos. The nos are pretty cut and dry and clear. So if we could amend it to address the yes, to make sure that we are making sure that what we're saying yes to is actually truly the intent of the bill and not going to be impactful in a negative way to the community, then I would feel much more comfortable. Councilmember Blackham.
I think the appeals portion of it is just totally messed up. It doesn't make any sense to me that appeals goes to the Planning Commission. Nate talked about it, our council member.
And then to a district court. I mean, come on, that's expensive for people.
Well, the point is you would have a non-elected body appealed from an elected body
Making
on a
it a
decision that was a legislative decision. So it makes no sense to me. I think until we fix the appeals process, this ordinance can't really go any farther.
Well, I think state law states that we need to do it.
Oh,
and
we
it
have
goes
to have an
into effect
appeals, but
now.
I think the appeal, like she said, the law, we used it once before when the planning commission was questioned on something they did, and we hired a law judge to make that determination.
Yeah, if I could speak to that, I think the intent of 1739-3 was, and there is some confusion now that that's brought up, thank you. I think the intention was that the procedure of 1745 would be followed, but 1745 is pretty inclusive and talks about how things should be transmitted to the Planning Commission. I think what we were trying to capture there is the 10 days and timelines there. But we'll certainly, if the council wants to table this, we could certainly bring back something that had more clarity in that. I think the reason that the appeals section is in there is that this body, the city council, is the highest authority in the city. And so any appeals that the council, of decisions the council make, they always go to, we don't send those to an ALJ, we don't send those to the planning commission. You're exactly right. You're the highest authority, so those always go to the district court if there's a confusion.
I do have issue with an administrative law judge being the ultimate authority, because if a council says no, then that places a judge that is starting to legislate, and there's a lot of problems with that too.
Sure. Yeah, we certainly would not send your decision to an ALJ. Certainly not.
No.
Well, and back to my point of a yes. A yes, there's no appeal for a yes. For a neighborhood I guess they could complain, but at that point, they've already been granted their request. So if you could work on that, are we okay with that,
Yeah.
council?
Can I just add
Yes.
one thing? I was just looking at 17-4-5 on the appeals section, and it does says any other person can appeal, but I've always felt, even when I was on the planning commission, that the option for neighbors to appeal was such a tight timeline that if someone were to approve something and they didn't hear, I mean, they've only got 10 calendar days, I think, right, to appeal. So yeah, I think that's why I additionally also feel more comfortable kind of reworking this a little bit.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll motion it.
Okay.
Let's try this out. I motion that we move action item 7B, an ordinance to amend the various sections of Title 17 of Kaysville City Code to comply with Section Bill 179 titled Local Regulations and Business Entity Amendments to a work item. Is that what we're doing? To a work item?
That works.
Sure.
Okay.
That works.
Is that your first motion?
That is my very first motion.
Oh,
I'm going to second it.
congratulations.
I second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McBride. Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Councilmember Hunt.
Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Aye.
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 Okay, thank you, everyone. All right.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Do you care if we, just a friendly request, work items, looks like discussion, 9:35, and we have a meeting closed session. Is there anything that staff feels imminent about A, B, and C that we need to discuss this evening? I mean, I'm happy to do it. I just wondered if there's any chance that could be moved to 2 weeks from now, or if anybody would be opposed to such a request. Mayor, thank you.
I will say that the splash pad is usually scheduled to open Memorial Weekend, right? And that is coming up. I think that'd be a really quick discussion.
Okay.
I'd like to
Are we
discuss
okay
it.
with that one?
I'd like to discuss
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
The other two, you guys okay?
Yeah.
yep,
All the
okay. Is
purchasing
that a
policy.
motion?
Friendly motion. Oh, I'll make a motion that we table or continue work item A and C to 2 weeks from today, which will now be added also to our newest council member's first request, and that we discuss right now ad nauseum B.
I'll second that.
Okay, Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Just because of the ad nauseum?
No, I mean, that didn't help.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. City splash pad. Cole, you want to talk about that?
Sure, I'd be
We'll
happy
make it
to.
quick. Okay.
No, I'll make it quick. So as staff, we've been consulting with, of course, Parks and Recreation and Public Works on the splash pad, seeing that the city's in a, it's not the city, but the state, with the severe drought that we're in and the water consumption of the splash pad. We're utilizing about roughly, give or take, it's a lot of variables there, but roughly 5 million gallons of water during its 16-week season, which is the equivalent of draining the 1 million gallon water takes 5 times within that season. Even though it is a culinary system, it is a recapture system. And maybe to clarify with people that might be listening, the splash pad is not a recirculating system, it's a recapture system, meaning that it's fresh culinary intake. We then pump it into the citywide secondary irrigation system. So it is utilizing 5 million gallons of fresh culinary water every year. The decision was made on that back in 2012 when it was constructed, just with a lot of staffing issues. To do a recirculating system, you have to have a certified pool operator that operates this to check the chlorine levels, and then that is a self-contained unit. It's just recirculating the water within its own system. And so this is different. It is a recapture system and not a recycle system. So it is utilizing that potentially 5 million gallons. And so our recommendations, we've consulted with Public Works on the water and feeling like to do our part as water conservation, because we are very sensitive to that and the need to conserve water, is to not open and not operate the splash pad for the 2026 season. And defer to Josh too from just a water standpoint too.
Yeah, I think in addition to what Cole mentioned, the discussion over this item in light of the drought conditions right now is also trying to factor in a lot of the input that we received in 2022 during the last drought declaration. Similar concern, but in kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of concern about the city's use of water there at the splash pad. And then I can't speak to the current state of the system there, but I know that there have been some concerns with the current functionality of the recapture system that have kind of factored into some of the discussions between Parks and Public Works. So.
Thank you. And for clarification, there are other cities that have recirculation systems, which is why they keep those open, because they do have the ability to use the same water over and over and over, and we don't. And that is the difference.
That is the big
Okay.
one. Like Layton City, for example, their splash pad at Ellison is a recirculating system.
Right.
They also operate a pool,
Mhm.
so they have certified pool operators. Our system, it doesn't even have that capabilities to recycle. It would have to be a complete new system with inside the Heritage Park pump house to even actually consider doing that.
We did have some, neighbors, we were on the news, some people complained and were sad about it, but it seems like most people understood. Go ahead, Councilmember Blackham.
I mean, I'm okay with maybe reducing the hours, but, there's a lot of people. This is one of those deals where you have a lot of mothers who have their kids home in the day for the summer, and they are always looking for places, and it's awful hot, and it's not a huge splash pad. It is a neat amenity to get people over there, and if we can recapture the water and put that water on our parks to keep our lawns green so that we can use that for recreation and those types of things. I know that's tough to say that it's all going to go right there, but I, for one, I think conservation is good, but I also think that a lot of people are looking for
We'll get beat up either way.
Yeah, we're going to get beat up either
because
way.
There was a lot of confusion in 2022 on what are the hours, all that stuff, and so it works, it doesn't work.
I mean, I would rather say if it gets worse in the summer, if we don't get, then we can talk about closing it then. But for now, I'd really be interested in keeping it open.
And to Josh's point, we do have occasions. I'm not going to lie that we don't have occasional issues with our pump. It is a, well, you know pumps. Pumps are not the funnest things in the world. So sometimes it works. Unfortunately, there have been times where we do have to discharge the sewer on that water. But, you know, it's roughly about 50,000 gallons a day that goes through the system in its normal operating window. So that's our recommendation, is that we not open it, but, you know, we'll take the direction of whatever council directs us to do.
Okay, Councilmember McBride.
You know, I'm on the same lines as Councilmember Blackham here, is I do know that I mean, I'm probably not going to go out there myself, but there are a lot of families that do count on some sort of recreation, some sort of getting out for a little bit. If we can just limit the hours and even bring them down a little bit, I just feel like that'll...
Like what would we be talking?
I don't even know what's open now.
Right now it operates from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday.
So let's go from noon to 6.
Or every other day or something.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. I'm just saying.
6 on the weekend.
I think every other day you just get confusing to
Yeah.
people. If we're gonna do something, I'd rather have a
consistent
set
schedule.
cycle every day, whether it's
Do noon to 6.
noon to 5,
Shut
noon
it
to
off at
6.
4.
What if we only did Saturdays or something? Because I was thinking kind of along the same lines as Councilmember Blackman McBride, that maybe if we could just limit it, because it does also serve like a circulatory function with our water as well, right?
Right. Yeah. One of the purposes of that is just to assist with circulating water through the system. Right now, anticipating a potential closure of it, we've modified schedules with the water department so that we're not dependent on that this year. But it's one of those efficiencies that we talked about. Hey, we can get some circulation here without a lot of finagling.
You said not Sunday, so Monday through Saturday?
Well, so the splash pad, just so people are also aware, the splash pad was a donation backed by a family. And part of the donation that they requested when we received the donation was not to operate on Sundays. Okay. And so we're honoring that donation that the family, it was like, I think $400,000 that they donated for the splash pad. And so we're honoring that request by the family that made the donation not to operate on Sundays. So that's why it doesn't, was because it was donated when it was constructed.
My recommendation for now would be to cut out 2 hours of a day.
So what, 12 to 4?
Yeah, go
Well, it's
12.
It's currently in its normal operating, it's 11 to 7.
Go 12 to 6.
How much water do we go through? How much do you usually go through to recirculate, like you were saying? I mean, can we just...
6,000 gallons.
Well, I know the whole thing uses it, but I'm saying to flush the system and everything else, how much water is that versus water that just gets more or less wasted?
So we don't end up wasting the water with the workaround that we're doing right now.
Wrong terminology there. But
what we do is we just operate our tanks differently. You know, they might fill up and empty on a different schedule, and redirecting water in different ways, that just trying to maintain high water quality, keep water moving as quickly as possible. So I don't think there's a waste of water that's taking place. Admittedly, a large part of this is an optics thing. We don't own the irrigation systems within Kaysville, and as we interact with the public and encourage them, hey, let's do our part. Let's try and see this irrigation season go as long as possible. A lot of the feedback that we get is, if the city's not doing something, the last person I want talking to me about what I should do is the city themselves. So to that regard, I admire Cole and his department pursuing, you know, hey, this is some non-functional turf. We're going to pursue rebates to tear it out, or we're going to let some of these non-functional areas start browning and prioritize other places ahead of them. So.
Hey, we ready for a motion, or are we still discussing?
Well,
Go ahead.
I want to hear from the other two council members, or Abby kind of mentioned, myself, I want to make a few comments. I think It's smart to make adjustments because it gets the city talking. And the vast majority, everything we put on our lawns does not make it to the Great Salt Lake. Drinking water does. And so I think this will really highlight to the city that everyone needs to save water in their yards and whatnot. But I do sympathize with families. My little girl loves that splash pad. I don't feel comfortable keeping it open every day. I liked where Councilmember Hunt was going. I think if we were to maybe find a compromise, maybe 10 to 2 during the week. It gets very hot at 3 and 4, 3 hours a day, middle of the day. I think you get a lot of people that just come for that time period, or maybe just keeping it for Fridays and Saturdays.
Problem is you get something and you open it at such limited hours, then you get, instead of 100 people going there throughout the day, you get 100 people there for 2 hours, and it just creates a more unpleasant experience in your park.
Fridays and Saturdays, I don't mind that, but I don't think we need to have it open every day, and I think we need to really buckle up and save this year. So.
Part of what we do is
we're open to, our recommendation was to close it, but we're certainly, that's why I think it's good discussion. We're open to.
You're going to take it both ways. I'd rather just not jump and make a huge change, but do something and say, put signs up. We've limited the hours. We've taken 2 hours off a day or whatever, rather than, I don't want to panic. That's what I just don't want to jump. I think we're making good use of the water. I mean, it's moving down, it's going back into the system, and literally it's going back into a pipe that's going to go out onto the lawns that would be going onto the lawns anyway. We just get to use it first for a little bit. I don't know. I just think it's one of those deals. We got some part of what we provide is a splash pad in the community. It's part of our community to provide those types of things. It doesn't cost them anything other than, operating it and taking their kids down there and a little bit of maintenance that you got to still do at the park anyway.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
after I make a comment.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't want to make the motion if I kind of get a bunch of like ooh faces. I was just thinking sometimes looking at it theoretically, like a weekend, you could say Sunday and Monday are the days that it's off. So you could just say Tuesday through Saturday, it's open from noon to 6, that's taking 2 hours off and it's taking 1 day away. And I think that's a pretty easy thing to advertise, just hey, it's open Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 6.
Okay, this is the worst water year in my entire life. It is really bad. Mm-hmm. And I think it's reckless for the city to keep it open that much. I really do. I feel strongly about this.
So
but I'm willing to compromise.
Noon to 5, you're saying? I mean, it gets hot at 6. It's that's the peak heat.
So much water evaporates. We're literally
I'm going to make a motion,
water.
and if it fails, it fails. I'll make a motion that we keep the splash pad open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to...
No, 11 to 7 was what it was.
11 to 7, noon to 6.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Tuesday through Saturday.
This is a work item. Do we have to move this to an action item?
Oh, sorry.
I think we're just looking for direction from a city council standpoint, because, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, if it was a work item, that would be my motion.
We've typically treated work items as a chance for you to preview them, but if you want to give us direction,
Okay.
I think a motion on how it's open is fine if
Okay.
you don't want to see it back.
Great.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second.
Second, yeah.
Okay. Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, I think it's way too much water, way too long.
Nay.
Aye.
Can we readdress this
I don't
in
like the
July
hours.
or August or something?
I would.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, this came after a discussion with Scott Parcell at Benchland. I don't think he was trying to be Chicken Little. He's just like, hey, it is not outside the realm of possibility that come August, we're done. And that's when the discussion really took off with us. So, as the summer progresses, think that's appropriate to have an opportunity for additional discussions.
I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate everything you guys are doing and trying to be conservative and everything else, so. Great.
And I would say also where it was a work item and it was giving you direction, that it's appropriate to say that maybe we would be okay at readdressing it in July or, you know, mid-June or whenever you guys feel appropriate.
Well, and we're in constant communication with Public Works and Josh, so as far as that, so we monitor it, and it's, you know, we just felt like an opportunity to do our
Bring it
part
back.
to show that we are willing to serve and
Be great.
do
If it gets dire and you feel uncomfortable, bring it back.
And just so you know, none of our parks have irrigated. We are honoring the November, or the May 15th day, so we are doing our part, like Josh mentioned, to conserve. And
Are these hours of Tuesday through Saturday confusing?
No, I think that.
Or is that okay?
I think if it went like an every other day or a, you know, that gets really confusing.
Okay.
But if it's a schedule, that's, we can
Manageable?
broadcast that. We can make signage
Okay.
at the splash pads. So Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through Saturday,
Noon to 6.
noon to 6, no Speedos.
Okay, so Councilmember Hunt was a no. You are, did we keep voting? I can't remember.
We finished.
We all voted? We finished? Okay.
Motion
Oh,
passed
we
3-2.
were waiting for Josh McBride.
No, we've done.
You voted too?
Yeah, I said yeah.
Okay, motion carries. Gotcha. Thanks. All right, we're done.
7 minutes before it's
Okay.
10.
Anyone have a council member report? You better not. I'm just kidding.
I want to tell you about,
I'm just kidding. You better not have anything to report. Anything? Okay.
Jason's like,
Okay, Jason, anything? Okay, all right. We are hitting our 10 o'clock hour, so motion to adjourn would be appropriate because then we have a closed session.
do we need to make a motion to extend even though we have a closed session? I'll make a motion that we extend past the 10 o'clock until possibly 11:30.
Okay.
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
No motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into a closed session. All in
Thank
favor?
you, everybody, for aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.
She did. He did make a motion. He made a motion to go into closed session. And
I second it.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually a closed session, right?
Closed session.
To the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close.
I
Josh.
seconded it.
Josh seconded it.
You did.
I'll just say I did.
Yeah,
Motion to go into a closed session.
and I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
All right, hit it.
During this
Everybody's gonna go back over
During
these
this
minutes and be
meeting,
like, what the heck is going on?
a beautiful lady into this rock.
Eyeballs on it. And it was like, look.
Made everybody look at my rock. Look at my rock. Yeah, look at this pencil.
Where you discovered this pencil?
Look at this stick I found.
The rock you dropped. That's not a real, that's not a, you forgot to bring frost. Sorry,
No, hold me up, bud. We'll grab a sandwich. We can grab a sandwich going into closed session.
Sure you can.
That's what we're going to do.
I gotta use the restroom.
So do I.
You better go use the restroom.
Yeah, I would use that too.
Good job. That was good. I think that was good. Meeting. No, like you said it. You know what, Mike, you stop and you forget about kids don't have access to a pool or anywhere.